Pa 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 pa. Greetings and salutations and happy Friday. Megan, Corky, hello, happy Friday. How you doing? Connie, Penny, hi. Good afternoon, Celphy. Good afternoon, ding 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 ding. How you doing, guys? How you doing? Connie, hello. I haven't streamed for a week again. Going aside, I've been addicted to Werewolf's NEET, but more than that, my family is in Japan. Wait,
for the richness and complexity of
you're playing
humanity.
Genshin? How is Genshin? I saw that you were streaming it. A few days ago, I think. Yeah. Yes, good afternoon. My family is in Japan. They left like a couple days ago, last Wednesday. Came here as a heads up. As of now, nasa hospital ako ngayon kasi confined ang lolo namin. Currently stable ang condition niya after 4 days sa ICU. I'm so sorry to hear that, Connie. At least he's stable, but 4 days in ICU. I hope he gets better. Thank you for letting me know. Stay strong, Megan. Are you staying over to take care of your lolo? Maybe. Yeah, Fanny, I saw you stream and I was lurking. I love getting my ass beat by regular mobs in level 60 in Werewolf's NEET. No! I'm sure you're doing well, Megan. Wait, have you finished? Maybe I was streaming. Was I seeing things? Was I imagining penitent actor 44 streaming Genshin Impact? Was it all in my head? Mikan, have you finished the main story? I have finished it. It was great. It was glitching for me, but it was still great. I mean, the glitches were like weird because of my computer, but it was good. You're in Kaifeng and you still haven't done anything. That's fine. So, have you gotten the weapon that you want? I'm pretty sure you already have the weapon you want. What's it called again? The Moblade. You're trying to fix has been abandoned for 2 years. Yeah, you mentioned that. You used to be a day one player, right? And then you kinda quit Genshin for a long time. You want a whale to bless me? I will bless you, but I'm not a whale. Moblade sucks, but you love it. It's just like your relationship with Warframe. Warframe, right? You hate it, but you keep playing it. Me, I same. Every time like I break through my level and Werewolf's NEET, I get my ass beat, and I keep spending money to upgrade my weapons. Yes, you hate Warframe. You hate Warframe so much that you hate play it. Because for me to buy the 6k crystal, it will cost me 2k IRL money. Wait, Penny, why do you want a whale to bless you? What do you want from the game that requires real money? What? The weapon is... No, the Arlecchino's weapon is gone now, right? Oh yeah, have you seen the latest cinematic of WoA? I'm not sure, Connie. The leaks? I saw you commenting on... Were they leaks or not? No, I have not. Connie, I have not. Is it like the teaser for the new area? You want Durin and Venti? My luck is god tier. Not like Sophia. Connie, no, I haven't. I forgot. I forgot actually to watch it. You know what? We can watch it right now. Penny, I got Durin on this account. I won 50-50 after like I don't know how many polls. Let's look at my history. I pulled Arlecchino. Yeah, you got Arlecchino very early, and you said you wanted to have her weapon, right? Don't worry. You know, at this rate, Arlecchino will have a rerun before you know it. Lucy, thank you for the head up, Lucy. Thank you. Wow. The streak. The streak! I've been getting streaks, you've been getting streaks, we all get streaks! Wait, Doreen! 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hi, maganda Celphy. Hi, Pogi Lucy. Pogi. May Pogi sa chat. May Pogi sa chat. Wow, SSR Getter. Jofish! Annyeong! Mabuhay and annyeong! How are ya? Where's money? I will sell my body to you for no. There is no selling of body in this chat. No. Unless you're selling it as food. 16? What is 16 times 5? What is 16 times 5? Is that right? What is 16 times 5? 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80. I won 50-50, but on hard pity. So after Flint's, I did 80 pulls, and that's when I got Doreen. Is that right? I'm good. Lucy, I finished the main story quest in Where Wins Me. It was great. It was great. I don't want to spoil it because we have Mikan here who's still doing the stuff without... He has reached Kaifang without doing the main story. That's hard pity if I ever seen it. Yes, I'm not really that lucky, but 80 is good. At least I didn't lose. But you can do it. Just grind every day. Explore maps, do the quests. You know, even if you don't wanna follow the story of the quest while you're watching something or doing something, just skip the lines. Celphy, let me send you a screenshot on how much it cost me to use money in this game. Penny. I am a firm believer in free-to-play. You can get almost any character you want with free-to-play, but you have to be selective. So the main story is so good. It is! Lucy! It's so good! I really loved it. The ending was chef's kisses, and I can't wait for the new main story to drop because I kinda wanna farm. I kinda wanna farm the DPS range weapon that you can only find in the new area. Wait more days and it will be more. Yay! Free to pay, no, free to play. Free to play. Free to play. I used to spend on Genshin though when I still had the job. I spent like 3,000 pesos in total over a span of 1 year back in 2021, I think. And then I never spent anything again after that. I was free to play for 5 years. I want to change now, Penny. You must stay strong. Stay free to play. Save your money for other stuff. You were doing PvP with Shiva yesterday. Who is Shiva? Who is Shiva, Lucy? I have a question, by the way, for Lucy and Mikan or those who play Where Wins Me. Fairy! Hello! Hello, Fairy! For the 6.4k with the added bonus, it cost me 2k rand. Is that right? Is rand the currency? Rand? Oh, friend. Oh, Shiva is... So, Shiva is my guild mate as well because I'm in your guild with my 10k budget for FGO. FGO Freight Grand Order, right, Jofish? You've spent 10,000 on it? 10,000 pesos real money? How many years have you been playing it? I think that, I don't know, I can't really tell. I think whales spend hundreds of thousands of pesos. Jobish, if you remember Alden Richards? Yeah, Alden Richards. When he was playing Genshin, he C6'd all the 5-star characters. C6'd them and got full maximize. What do you call? Is it also constellations for the weapons? Yeah. Kidnap person to be my wife. Wait, are you are you married in Where Winds Meet? Are you married? Rand is the currency. Ah, that's cool. I'm commissioned that art thing I talked to you about. Yay! That was cute. The peg you showed me was cute. It was worth it. Let's go, Jopish. I mean, if you have the money, if you can afford it, if you love the game, should be worth it, right? Should be worth it. In my case, I'm just jobless, when I used to have a job, I did spend on Genshin. It wasn't big spending. I just wanted to get the battle pass weapon for Xiao, because at that time, there was no good weapon. There was no good free weapon for Xiao yet. 9 years over the span. Oh, 10,000 pesos over the span of 9 years. That's not bad at all, Jopish. I support that, since it's a free game. Is your way of supporting the developers as well, right? Even if there's a lot of whales, people spending on it, you just want to show some love and appreciation for the game, and that is fine. Yes, I am, and I wanted to get points and emotes. So you get a lot of free stuff from being married. Mrs. Shiva Albar. Is she Mrs. Shiva Albar now? Also, Rand is the currency in South Africa. Is that it? If you spend huge money, they will return the orders, so I risk my account being banned. No, we must start Genshin first. Very no, it's fine. Right now, I'm perfectly happy being free to play in Genshin, because it's well, good thing for me is that they don't release a lot of husbandos, so I get to save my gems for the husbandos. My question for Where Winds Meet. I've never done co-op before, although I want to, and I want to focus on being a healer. At this rate, we're getting to endgame, right? My question is, if I want to become a healer, should I just focus on my healer weapons? Am I going to survive solo with just my solo weapons, or should I still have a DPS weapon 1 and healer weapon 2? I don't know if that makes sense, because at this rate, we're gonna run out of materials and money, right? We should allocate them wisely. Should I focus on my healer weapons so that I can be a good healer in co-op? At the same time, if I focus on my healer weapons, are those weapons enough to make me survive in solo mode when I do my bosses, etc.? Umbrella Healing Martial Arts has DPS IARs. Yeah, I have my Umbrella Healing. So I should focus on the healing umbrella and the healing fan. Is that it? Is that it? No idea. I'm half tanking and half healing. Yeah, healing is so important. Healing is so important in that game. You can upgrade all weapons to max. Lucy, as free to play? Question mark. You can upgrade all weapons to max? Really? Are we not gonna run out of materials and money? Because some materials, you can buy them from the store. But for example, the bear fur is, you can only buy 20 at each day, right? But my build don't synergies. Same. I just put on whatever has the highest level. Well, but when I was looking around the weapons, they have synergies. I learned just yesterday, literally, the sets. You need to have 4 pieces of these weapons and 4 pieces of these accessories. You don't have to worry. Lucy, is that so? Then I wanna keep building my DPS umbrella and my healing fan. I wanna keep that maybe. So you can track bears in the map so you can farm them, but it takes so long because you can find wolves in packs, right? And you can find deers bundled together, but the bears are so far away from each other. You can buy and farm all materials. Yeah, that's what I've been doing. But just the other day, I ran out of bear from the stores and I had to get the bears one by one. You can get money daily, 175k. Just from doing campaigns and outposts. Is that it? I am running out of money. Megan, what have you been doing? Maybe I'm running out of money too. I just don't know. I watched Lucy play Where Winds Meet the other day, and we were at the same level, but his martial mastery thing was at 13k, and I don't know what I'm doing because I'm only at 10 to 11k. Maybe it's just because, he's so smart about it. Me dying to enemies on my stream, that never happened. I didn't say that. What do you mean? I didn't see that. Nuh-uh. Look at 20% more drop. Use food. Oh, I haven't been cooking. See? Yeah, you were at 13,000 the last time I saw you. Maybe you're at 14,000 now, as you say. Depends on what I... Hoy there, gremlin! Celphy VTuber! Hello, am I gremlin? Maybe. let's get on. Let's Marvin Gaye and get it on. What am I gonna say? Sorry. Lonely. I got so lonely. Our healer DPS PvP1. What is PvP? I love you.
_Draco just traded with 2 viewers.
It's Bestie! Thank you so much for the raid. Hello, Bestie and Draco. You got... You were playing Uma Musume. Hello, how is the horse racing? Thank you so much for the raid. Thank you. Hi, I'm Celphy. We are... we are in Genshin right now, but I've been obsessed with Where Winds Meet, so we're kind of talking about that right now. Shortly, we are gonna be playing Genshin. Also, I'm alone at my house right now with 3 dogs. So, yes. Great, thank you so much for the raid. Hey, that's me. Ilos Glue Factory time. Can you explain to me again what Glue Factory means in terms of Uma Musume and horses? You sure about that? She once told a stream before that she is. I am what? Can you lend me some 10 pulls? I can give you 10 pulls in spirit. I have 46 right now. Can you see it on the screen? Yeah. I have 46 pulls. Varga! Wait. I don't know if Varga is coming yet. Because I've been seeing leaks for Columbina. And Columbina, everybody wants Columbina. Glue is made of horses? Is that the TLDR of it? So I know sometimes when a horse loses and it becomes like disabled or incapacitated, they kill it. I'm so sorry for the grim trivia. They put it down, right? And then is it true that they sent it to the glue factory? Is that what it is? If you imagine how many hunters I am having after me when I am going online. No, I'm too scared to go online and do PvP. I'll probably move like 5 steps and get killed ASAP. It's what happens in Animal Farm. Oh, I haven't played Animal Farm. Oh, you don't have to. Each their own, right? If you enjoy that and you're so good at it, I support you. And because of that, you are so good in the game. I'm happy to be in your guild. It's because I am in Midnight Blades. Oh, Midnight Blades! So it's when you're in Midnight Blades that you get to do PvP, killing other players stuff. Animal Farm isn't a game, it's a book. I don't know that either. Never heard of it. Animal Farm. I know The Grinch. No, yeah, The Grinch is a book. Why am I thinking of The Grinch? Because it's Christmas. It's Christmas. So every sec member want to kill me to get promo. You get points for killing other people. That's crazy. I turned down the invitation for Midnight Blades because I don't use a blade. I am secless. So am I. I kinda wanna join the dancing sect. I forgot what they're called. Veil of Shadows? I forgot. But it's fine to be secless for now. I heard that there's a shop for secless people where you can buy secless things. Bitchless things. Sorry. I'm surprised Animal Farm is very popular, but maybe in America. Have you guys heard of Animal Farm? I don't think I have. I am an elder. You are an elder and a guild leader, guild master. Yeah, the Velvet sect. I forgot. It was a critique on communism. Animal Farm? I don't think I've heard of it. Communism. Where's the breeding sect? But all the all the members are males. Also, yesterday at PvP, I got 20 kills and 1 place. Yay! Congrats, Lucy! Congrats! Sometimes there are some PvP monsters. PvP monsters. What do you mean PvP? PvP monsters. Guys, we're really gonna do it. We're gonna do the story. Do I enter this way? They are too strong. Because a bunch of people have finished it already. Or not really a bunch of people. A few friends have finished the main story. This is the main story before the latest update, by the way. Hehe. When are you gonna join us for raid? Can I join even if I have the DPS umbrella and the healer fan? So I'm not gonna be like 100% healer. Because I saw some people on Reddit bashing people who have multiple weapons. Oh, also I have killed the Wolf Maiden. I have not unlocked the Wolf Maiden. It's a book you were assigned to read. It is cool. We don't have that. We don't have that. OMG. I have not. Yeah, I have not. Yesterday, I discovered Jang E, Jang E, the handsome guy who looks like a snow prince. What about the girl with the burb? No, I've only unlocked all the outposts and some of the earlier campaigns.
According to Dainsliff, Rarier used to be an intelligence operative.
I will be looking forward to that
top secret
later.
intel stashed
I'm gonna
away in this
open
room.
the game later.
Is this where you keep your secrets, Rarier?
I will help you with
say
them.
I'm
Thank
not looking
you,
forward
thank
to
you.
this.
At first, I was dying with Jang-il, but there was a tip, a signpost in the tip that says you have to use your fan and you have to keep dodging. That's why I was able to beat Jang-il multiple times, because Jang-il gives the Ivory Bloom set. Ivory Bloom set is good for healing. That's what I saw. Buddha. I think is Buddha the fat guy in the main story? No, I have not unlocked it yet. There's so many things I haven't unlocked yet.
Today's files are in. Time to wade through
Wait, are
them
they
just
under
like usual.
campaign, Lucy? Are they campaigns? Trials? I think the meme about the glue factory comes specifically from Animal Farm. The workhorse, when he was able to perform labor anymore due to injury, was sent to the factory by the pigs which ran the farm. I see. So it comes from Animal Farm. So like IRL, it's not true that glue is made from horse? ? Shiva was chauffeuring on him. Yes, they are bosses, and I was farming that dude. Wait! Is Buddha the big boy that you kept killing? It's true as well. Damn. Animal Farm. I have not read it.
51.
I have not
Occupation,
read any
cook.
political books
Confirmed
at all.
Crimson Moon descendant.
Maybe I have.
Has
Back in
maintained
school,
frequent
but I don't
contact with other
remember.
descendants over the past
The
year.
mask one, I have his
Poses
mask.
a threat to the
Ooh.
dynasty.
Do you have his mask as an appearance?
Neutralized.
It's on you now. I wanna see. I don't know if it's still really used as much, but it absolutely has been made of horses, but also other animals too. I heard that, and gummy bears have animal parts contents as well, and maybe some makeup. Neutralized.
This
Oh
one
yeah,
should be
Rare
archived
is
under
kind of like
purged targets.
an assassin. Do you ever laugh?
_nuts just followed.
Thank you so much for the follow. Hello. Wait, why did it not show cashew nuts? Cashew nuts. Hello. Thank you for the follow and welcome. Gummy bears. I thought they were like pure candy. That's why they're made of animals, because they're bears. Hi, Ocean Man. Hello. Cashew nuts. Hello. Welcome. Yeah, we're doing some Genshin. Finally, trying to finish the main story. from the previous update. This is not the latest story, but hello. I don't play Genshin, sadly. Sad. Do you play Where Winds Meet? Do you play Star Rail? Because those are the games I play the most right now, currently. And WoWa as well, Wuthering Waves. Draco! I was gonna say, the book that I keep hearing about is 1984. Is that considered a political book? That's the book I want to read. Because I have a book called IQ84 by Haruki Murakami. I like that one, but I'm guessing 1984 is a different one. Except when I used to play ZZZ. Keyword used to play. How come you'd stop playing Ocean? Ocean man, why did you stop playing ZZZ? My taste in games are quite basic, and I like free games. Not gonna lie, 1984 is written by the same guy. Oh, I keep hearing about 1984. Animal Farm, I don't think I've heard of, but that seems. Thank you for enlightening me. I don't want to play it anymore. Fair, that's fair. Wait, what happened to my game? So we are on the POV of Rear. Like a long time ago, when he used to be human. He was an assassin for like the rulers of Kandria. I didn't read it, so he's like looking at files of people he's supposed to assassinate. I'm assuming the only gacha game I play is Uma Musume. Oh, did you come from Draco's
Female,
Take
23.
or Warden just
Occupation,
subscribed for
office
18
clerk.
months.
Confirmed Crimson Moon descendant.
Taken right.
Has maintained frequent contact with other descendants over the past year.
Thank
Poses a threat to the dynasty.
Thank you. Thank you for the wee sub. Are you about to sleep? Who's raided? Draco? Draco raided earlier, and they were playing. He was playing Musume. I was just wondering if you came with the raid. Is that how you came here? You don't play Genshin, but welcome. Sorry for the confusion. Yeah, that's Draco. There you go. That's my bestie. Idao is goat. Yes, Lucy as support. Goat. Very, very goated. I love him. I used to think the Rat King was good, but now Idao supremacy. Hola, mommy. Hola, puppy. Hola, hola. Happy December. Thank you again for the sub. How you doing? You missed my message before the Uma Musume. I'm sorry. Can I back read? Uma. The Chinese gacha game formulas have been getting too grindy. That is true. Even Where Winds Meet feels too grindy sometimes for me, but I love it. They're on their way to perfecting how to lock you into the game, to make you play longer, so that their stats goes up, their investors go up, etc. Sophia keeps trying to play Genshin. It's fine. Genshin is not for everyone. Have you done Hess and Ruby Quest? Ruby Quest I have done. The Ruby where you get her red bracelet. Hope you have a great stream, mommy. Thank you, Poppy. Thank you. Are you gonna sleep? Yeah, the other one I have not yet. Ruby's red string bracelet. Buenas noches. If I have to do grindy adventure games for building, I have Pokemon for that. I've never played Pokemon because I don't have a Switch. You have to have a Switch, right? Specifically competitive Pokemon. Yeah, a lot of people like competitive Pokemon. The Nuzlocke thing.
Another one for
I
purged
see a lot of
targets.
people streaming that. Thank you so much for the hydrate.
Sounds like she was that other man's
Hydration.
daughter.
Hydration. I am not taking them off. Thank you for the hydrate. Isn't competitive as a challenge? I keep seeing Nuzlocke run. Nuzlocke run is not a challenge in a way that you're not going against other people's Nuzlocke run. Records, is that it? Do I need to teach you how to emulate Pokemon? Nah.
Never mind.
I love the
That's good with me.
Pokemon. They're so cute, but I'm not very interested in playing them. I'm sorry. actual Pokemon
Male, 40.
PvP. I played
Occupation,
Pokemon
teacher.
Go a long
Confirmed
time
Crimson
ago.
Moon descendant. Has been observed making
So
contact with
kinda
other
get the
descendants during the past
PvP
year.
part of it.
Poses a threat to the
Whoever
dynasty.
wins owns the gym, right? Or something like that. Or the gym master or something like that. Also, okay, so you hate me. Okay, got it. Do you love Genshin? Would you play Genshin?
Neutralized on
Real. I'm sorry. I know Pokemon means a lot to you guys.
just another nobody for the. Come to think of it, I remember surveilling this man. A case like his never would have been
But
considered
my
a
time is
priority in the past.
divided between my Chinese gacha games. You
You
never
barely
asked
even
me
interact-
to. Sophia has asked you to, yet you still didn't play it.
Female, 16. Occupation, none. Orphan and confirmed Crimson Moon descendant. Has been observed making
I
contact
think
with other
Pokemon is
descendants
just
during
not
the
my
past
thing. I have
year.
a friend though.
Poses a
currently,
threat to the dynasty.
I don't know if she's obsessed, but she's been playing Pal World a lot. Screw that. You my OG, I know, right? High five. High five.
Neutralized on.
Oh my god, not only is he killing enemies of the state, but also children. This is some
File.
dark shit.
I have no recollection of this girl. None whatsoever.
She don't play nothing for me.
Doesn't seem to be anyone important.
Did I ever give
Then
Pokemon
again,
a go?
How many of them really are?
Maybe. Yes. I feel like I have phases. Genshin has been the only game I've been loyal to for a long time. Star Rail as well. I love Star Rail. WoW, I just love it for the challenge of it. But in terms of being close to my heart, I'm fine. Like, if you tell me tomorrow I can't play WoW anymore, I would be fine with it. But if you tell me tomorrow I can't play Genshin anymore, I would be heartbroken. Maybe that's how I gauge it. What does that have to do with Pokemon? I don't know. I'm just saying, I'm not a Pokemon girl. Older Pokemon games are what's the best first time experience. Nah, newer are fine. What's newer? Older Pokemon games. I see discourse about Power World. Oh, Nintendo versus Power World and stuff. It feels like I see discourse or complaints that Pokemon has to innovate and stuff. Innovate and bring fresher stuff for players. They promised it will be great. What will be great, Lucy? Pokemon? They're kids' games, so they're all easy to get into. In terms of intelligence, I
Female,
think
13.
my mind
Occupation, none.
is like a kid. I
Orphan
feel old.
and confirmed
I
Crimson
know,
Moon
I
descendant.
feel old,
Has
but
been
I have the
observed making
intelligence of a
contact with
kid,
other
so
descendants
maybe.
during the past year.
Greetings
Poses
from
a threat to
Russia,
the dynasty.
Igor God. Hey, whoa, thank you for the first time. Welcome. How is
Neutralized
Russia? Is it winter there? It's always snowing there. Sorry if I'm very ignorant. I just remembered that my family is in Japan right now and it's very cold. I can only imagine how cold it is in Russia right now. Shangri-La game. Hello, Russia. Are you Russian? I'm not Russian. Do I sound Russian? I am from the Philippines. Kids game, but with a lot of the that's why Pokemon has so many diehard fans. I remember when I first started streaming, a little bit of tidbit about me. I had my first really close friend was a huge Pokemon fan. Like on top of his head, he could name all Pokemon generations from the first one up to the ones in 2022. It was really cool. And I had a bit of a crush on him. And then I was like, maybe I should try Pokemon. But when I remember how many Pokemon there are, I was like, nah, maybe not. So that was like... So I know how people can be so dedicated to the Pokemon. To the Pokemon. Why do I talk like that? I just make some of the craziest Pokemon in competitive. Oh. People just don't wanna
Fine.
complain about everything about Pokemon. Yeah, just like I have complaints about Genshin, but I still play it because I love it. And just hope it improves over time. Do you
Male,
accept friend
11.
requests on Discord just because
Occupation,
I'd like to
none.
be friends with you? Of
Orphan
course.
and confirmed Crimson Moon descendant.
Of course.
Has not been observed.
But you
making
have to
any
make sure you're
contact with
not a
other
bot. You're not a
descendants during the
bot,
past year.
right?
Poses
you
a threat to the
can,
dynasty.
you can, if you want to, you can join the Discord server, and they can find me in there. And we can be friends, Discord friends. Don't mind as long as you're not a bot.
Neutralized an
Bots say what? I'm not a bot. I'm not falling for that. I'm not falling for that.
male.
How was your
Six.
Umamusa?
Occupation.
The raid
none.
was like hours ago,
Orphan and
and
confirmed
we did
Crimson
mention
Moon descendant.
Umamusume, but how did your play or your game time go? Just yes. I said I don't mind, so that's a yes. She is good. I'll get her next time. Wait, who is good? Who is good? Who is good? Yeah, Ocean. Draco was playing Uma Musume before I came here. Was streaming Uma Musume actually. You should check out Draco. I was joking that you didn't fall for it. Ah, the bot says what? And Draco was playing Uma Musume.
That's not how it is.
I do not play Uma Musume, but a long time ago I watched the anime and I really loved it. Shawei! Sophie, I missed you! Welcome back, Shawei! When did you get back? How was your trip, Hello? I have not checked your server yet. I'm good, I'm good. I'm good. I know nothing about
my
the
job
game
is to
really. I
ensure the
started like 3
survival
days
of the
ago.
Eclipse
But this
Dynasty.
is like your
The only
second
way to do
time
that
streaming
is by
it,
eliminating
right?
any and
And
all
much more
potential
yeah,
threats.
Arc Knights.
It's a perfectly
Your
legitimate
forever
line of work.
favorite.
Every single one of my
Guys,
colleagues
check
can
out
attest
Shuri.
to my fairness.
Sorry,
And if my friends
the
were aware
cutest.
of the facts, I know they'd back me up too.
Tita,
Assuming,
sorry.
of course, that they were aware of all the
Look
facts.
at her, Tita. Have you seen her? She looks like a baby girl. How is life? Life is good. Sorry. My mom and my brothers are in Japan right now. They say it's so cold. They say it's so cold. Yeah, Shori's here. See? Yes, Shori. Check out Shori, epic gamer, cute girl. I am called Ninang. At this age, a bunch of us are Ninangs already. Well, when you reach 20 something, I guess. Hi, Mikan. Yeah, Mikan is here. Examine the mirror. I'm done with that. So we're gonna look for Vidderfulner. Up.
Bookshelves full of documents.
Can I come stay with you? Well, they are away,
Looks
of
like
course.
there's
Are you good
files.
with dogs? Yeah, you're good with dogs. You can come over on the condition that you feed the dogs and cuddle with the dogs because they are very clingy. I was actually having second thoughts on streaming because they're so
A file
clingy.
tucked
So
inside
like
a
my
folder.
mom is their kind
The
of like
title reads,
their alpha,
Dear
right?
breakfast shop owner.
And without my mom, they look so lonely, so they be clingy. Good is subjective.
But at this
I mean,
stage,
can you
I have no
take
idea
care
who
of
any
them?
of them
If you
even are.
can, then you are free to stay here. I have ice cream. You like ice cream, right? A beta, no. I am a sigma. What is the difference between the alpha and the sigma? What? I know they're like both
Box containing a
memes.
ring inlaid
Yeah.
You
with a
underscore
precious
VT
gem.
just subscribed for 10 months.
Kayo, 10 months! Thank you for the week. So, arigato gozaimasu. It's all the kayo. How you doing? Are you streaming right now? Also, guys, I don't know if you noticed, I'm back with the original model. Because the other model is a bit too heavy for my laptop specs.
Must be for his girlfriend.
Thank you for the kwenta na. Kennard and Hydrate, how you doing? Happy December, happy Friday. It's stupid shit for like overly masculine males. I don't know that they're friends. Oh. I just know that the alpha males are like the Wattpad boyfriends or something like that, right? The CEO types who's like so dominating or something like that. I don't know. I feel like Sigma was something named into popularity to piss off that crowd. Oh, speaking of alpha and Sigma and male masculinity, last week I watched the movie American Psycho starring Christian Bale. It was good. It was good.
A file tucked
But I
inside
don't
a
know why
phone. It's
men
up
are
to
like
this stage, right?
idolizing him. He's stupid and he's cringe. And
Wonder what
not gonna lie, he's kinda gay.
It's an audio recording.
CEO mafia boss. Yeah, that's what I was thinking when
hear me
I
out.
think of
I
Alpha.
can't
He's
shake
the
this feeling.
CEO at
Someone's been
mafia
spying on
boss.
I
Who's
saw
gonna
someone
There's a note
who's
in the
gonna
margin.
steal you away.
Surveillance? Could the voice in the recording belong to one of Rare's
It's kind of
targets?
the main character in American Psycho. I think he was like the poster child for alpha wannabe alpha males, and I don't know why, because if you watch the movie, he is kind of cringe, kind of lame, and kind of gay. I said what I said. I'm sorry for those who like him. People are stupid and don't understand it is blatantly mocking that crowd. Exactly. That's what I think. How are you doing? No, we are Ryan Gosling. Exactly. I mean in Ken. No, in Ken, not in Barbie. But you know, in general, we love Ryan Gosling. I used to like the other Ryan as well, but recently he's been kinda cringe as well. Media illiteracy is crazy. I know, right? And sometimes it's like from actual people who speak English as their native language, but why can you not comprehend that he is a mockery of the alpha male wannabes? Not by me, because I don't watch American Psycho. I don't know if you're gonna enjoy it, especially for younger people. It's an older movie. But it's like a very cultural and iconic movie. You haven't watched it, Mikan? Maybe you should. Just for the, just for the lulz, maybe. But even if you guys don't watch it, if you don't have time, if it's not your thing, there's already so many clips. And you can you can look at Wikipedia and see what it's all about. You didn't read my previous message about American Psycho? You will be prosecuted. Me? Prosecuted? Why? What did I do? Is it because I don't like alpha males? I don't like alpha males. I like soft boys. No, just kidding. I don't have a type. I'm watching Big Bang Theory. Yo, let's go! I binged all of that before. Older movies are still pretty good. What do you mean? They are pretty good. Do you have a recommendation of a good older movie that I can watch on Netflix? You're finishing season 2 right now. I really like Big Bang Theory. It was really funny. I feel like I should watch Young Sheldon as well. I'm just going around, but I need to find...
A box containing a ring must be for his
I need to
girlfriend.
find the thing upstairs. Pretty much, yes. What was I gonna say? Yeah, do you guys have any recommendations that I can find on Netflix or HBO Max? Because those are the only two stream. Or, even if they're not in there, I know, I have a source. Wait, how do I go upstairs? Huh? You'll be prosecuted by the IRS for your illicit activities. I am innocent. Hachiko? Hachiko! I don't remember if I've seen that, but I wanna watch that. It's really fitting because my brothers are in Shibuya right now. They are in Shibuya specifically to pay homage to Hachiko. How do I go upstairs? Innocent? Yeah, right. It is true. I am the face of innocence, the embodiment of innocence. I know
Mr.
nothing.
Vetifulnir?
I'm
It's
so
been quite some
innocent, I
time since
know
we last
nothing.
met.
I'm gonna play Pokemon here and make my Pokemon breed to make stronger Pokemon. Good luck, Ocean Man. You mean right now? Enjoy. I will have the
Revia,
strongest Pokemon.
I
wanna
trust you're here
be
because
the
you have
very
something
best.
important to
Thank you for the
discuss.
lyric. Also, I'm sorry if I said I didn't want to play Pokemon, but I really love the Pikachu movies. If that if that counts. If that counts, thank you for the alert. Take care and have fun of Genshin. Thank you, Ocean. Ocean, the man, you the man. Thank you for being here and chatting. Enjoy the Pokemon.
Forgive me. I wasn't tuning out. It's just,
Hachiko.
I noticed you didn't even phrase that as a question.
Right now, I don't know what they're doing
As
aside
if
from,
you knew I was coming.
visiting the Hachiko statue. My strongest Pokemon right now is Mega Salamence. Ooh. Let me Google that real quick. Mega Salamence. Salamence. Oh, it looks cool. It looks cool. Dragon and flying type Pokemon. Enjoy. Face of innocence that I am the embodiment of excellent customer service. It is. Wait, one of us is lying and it's me. It's true
Tell
that
me,
you are an excellent
does
customer
someone in your
service
position ever feel the
person.
need to ask questions at
I
all?
know, because you keep getting praises in your job.
It
from
is
what I
indeed
heard.
within my power to
From what I
foresee certain
heard.
things.
I left a
Things
review in
like
your
your
previous
arrival.
job saying, please give a raise to Enrico because he has served me so well. Very fast, can hit hard.
I was
Whoa.
just thinking. It
That's
won't
my
be
job,
long
bro.
before
He
I'll be
didn't lose
inviting
it because
both
he
you
got
and Dane to my
fired.
wedding.
He lost it because the place shut down.
That isn't a lie.
And that is
But
not
nor is it a fact as
anyone's
such.
fault, but the company's
It's a
fault.
wish, isn't it?
No fooling a prophet, is there?
His ability turns normal type attacks to flying type. Ooh. Flying
Ever
type.
since that day we met for drinks, I knew it was only a matter of time before you came looking for me.
Does it feel good?
What is a
Knowing how
flying
the future
type?
will unfold.
I know there's elements. Ice type, water type, fire type, right? What is flying type?
I'm afraid the notions of good and bad fail to capture the complexity of what such a power entails. Once you've seen what will come to pass, it can be all too easy to succumb to fear and melancholy.
Yeah,
Unless, of
elements.
course,
Technically, I was
you learn
fired.
to
Mass
abandon
termination
these
for an
feelings.
underperforming restaurant. No, that's not it. That's not it. Well, if you look at it that way, it was mass termination,
You
but not
fear my
really.
silence, and long to hear the words I left unspoken that day.
Could they have transferred you? I like dragon type. Dragon these nuts. Got him. Just
That's
kidding.
right.
You must have noticed my reluctance to broach the subject. And the
Electro
reason
type.
is
There's
simple.
electro type and
Because the
ghost
truth
type
could
as
never
well,
have lived
right?
up to
Kinda
your
remember
hopes.
now.
The burden of prophecy
We
was
kinda
never
could
meant
have,
for your
but not
shoulders.
really. The other locations would have been so far from me,
So who
right?
exactly do you deem worthy to hear your prophecies? None but our
It's not
exalted
like
king?
Starbucks. Every street, every major street in here has a Starbucks or two. There are even malls where there are 2 Starbuckses.
Or rather, our king as he once was.
Those and electric are my runner-up favorites. Yeah, because they're purple
You're
and they're
closer
unique.
to his majesty than I am.
They're
You
like
must know better than anyone how much he's
creepy
changed.
Pokemon.
You say that as though it is to my benefit. Yet precisely because of that, I dare
In like
not
an
speak
hour
rashly.
and a half.
A
I
king
have to
can turn out to
remember
be the
to
most
feed
virtuous
the
of
dogs.
rulers.
Come over
or a
here,
tyrant,
Draco. Come
more
over here
terrible
and
than
feed
the
the
most
dogs.
vicious of
I like
dragons.
water, fighting, and dark types. Oh, aside from Ghost, there's also Dark. Dark is cool. Yeah. What is a sample of a popular Dark type Pokemon?
You are so wise and far-sighted, yet still you would have me live in fear of the unknown?
You make a fair point. Especially given my silence alone was all it took to send you spiraling downwards.
Ah, Greninja! That's a Dark type Pokemon? Water But they're dark? Oh.
Very well then.
I've heard of Greninja. You never dox yourself to me? How am I supposed to find you?
Let me offer you some advice.
Believe in the power of
And I
friendship.
say this
Close
not as
your
a prophet
eyes and
or a
imagine.
visionary,
And
but
then you
simply
will
as the
find a
brother
way
of
to
your
my
friend.
home. That is how strong our friendship is. We are strung together by an invisible thread that goes from the Philippines to America. If you imagine hard enough, if you believe in me and yourself, our invisible string of fate will lead us to each other. My favorite dark type is Absol.
For many
Absol.
reasons,
I don't think I've heard
there is
of
very
that.
little
There's
chance of your marriage ending in
many
happiness.
Pokemon. Oh yeah, I forgot. I used to date a guy who was really into Pokemon as well. He had like a whole box of Pokemon toys.
belong to Thalindus?
And it was so precious. I was asking
Guess
for
I
the
better
cute ones
tread
and he wouldn't give me any. He gave me one because it had to duplicate, but the others he didn't want to give to me because it was his treasure.
Hear me out.
Treasure of
This time we
Pokemon
finally
toys.
got a clear look at his face
The
and learned his true
Pokemon
identity.
figurines. And then when we broke up, I threw it away. I'm sorry. It's been 2 decades, and there's like 1,000 Pokemon throughout the years. Heh, heh. I think if I believe too hard, and it might make me crap myself.
His name is Rayleigh, and he claims to be one of
Then
the
there's
king's
2
guards.
benefits, right? You imagine where I live, and then you get rid of waste from your body. That's good.
What did you say?
A cruel irony, isn't it?
Or log. Sorry.
The man you're set to marry leads a double life as a brutal executioner.
Why are you telling me all of this now?
So this is the guy earlier we saw. We're looking at his past, right? Before he became like a villain, enemy, monster. In his past, he used to have a beloved girlfriend, this one Thalindus, and she's finding out right now that her beloved boyfriend is actually a killer. It's close. I think if I believe too hard, 30 years
Simple.
of Pokemon. Yo,
It's because-
that's 3 decades. 3 decades. 20 years is not, but 30 years.
I want you to kill him.
They're almost
You
as
are
old
the
as
only person he
Jollibee.
would never
How
suspect.
old is Jollibee? Jollibee, I think, is almost 40 years.
No, absolutely not. I would never dream of doing such a despicable thing.
So you'll just stand by and watch him slaughter us to the last.
Oh, it's a... Wait.
Do not forget that the blood of the
Gen
Crimson
10?
Moon flows in your
10
veins too.
generations of Pokemon. Ash Ketchum. Ash Ketchum.
The blood of the Crimson Moon?
I have a question.
What does that matter now? The
There's
dynasty
like
has long
10
been dead and
generations
gone.
of Pokemon now, right? And almost 30 years of Pokemon games. Is Ash Ketchum in all the Pokemon games?
You think
Or
that
is he just
alone
like
is
the
reason
OG?
enough for me to throw away everything I have?
Why wouldn't it be? You two were once a child of the Crimson Moon, just like me. Don't tell me you've
Anime
never felt so much as
only?
a flicker of fury for the way we were trampled
He was
into the
made
dust.
just for the anime.
As long as you promise
Bruh.
to abandon this pipe
Well,
dream of
that will
restoring
make
your
sense.
dynasty.
That was stupid of me. I played Pokemon
can
Go and
try
there
to
was no
persuade
Ash
him.
Ketchum in there.
Persuade the Vinster King?
After Pokemon Go, I think another trending thing, Pokemon
Do you
anime,
even
no,
know
and
why he's
Pokemon
so
mobile game
obsessed
that was
with
also
hunting us
trending was
down?
the Pokemon Sleep thing.
Why he keeps trying to
You
force
guys heard
us
of
to
that?
hand over our secrets?
Pokemon
over
Masters. He was
and over
promotional.
again?
Oh, so he
Or
was a
why we
promotional
refuse to give up on
character.
restoring the dynasty? The Vinster King.
Detective Pikachu. I really
blind
love
fool.
that movie.
His eyes clouded by powers from beyond this world. A petty little man with a miser's heart. And he dares to sit upon the throne? Mark my words. Sooner or later, Conria will fall. And it will be his doing. If you can't bring yourself to do it, so be
Pokemon
it.
Sleep. Yeah, Pokemon
you
Sleep.
watch.
It was trending
It
before.
won't be long
but
before
not as much
calamity descends
anymore.
upon us all.
Maybe a year or two
The
ago,
Ray here
Pokemon
of
Sleep.
Solnari.
He's a
That
stand. Yeah,
really
the
is
character
quite a
Red.
secret, but who am I to talk?
So they made Ash Ketchum
Am I really any
as a
better?
promotional character.
I've kept
and he's
my own
only in
past
the
a secret this whole
anime.
time too.
And except
Love
for
should be
Pokemon
built on
Masters,
honesty.
but he was a stand-in
But
for
ours
Red.
was born from lies.
I tried out
And
Pokemon
yet-
Sleep, but I don't know how it works. I don't know either.
Is it really so wrong to hide things that would only make life harder? If we don't cover up the parts that no one else should see, How can we go
How
on
else you get
pretending to be
Pokemon while
normal?
you sleep? So that's the
Vedifilnir
benefit
must
of
have known all
sleeping to
this.
get more Pokemon.
And that's why he made his prophecy.
I feel like hardcore
end,
Pokemon players
Nothing
wouldn't
stays hidden forever.
really need that. I don't know. VA for Ash a couple years ago, second
But I won't
actress.
just sit by and
Not
watch this
Veronica
disaster
Taylor. I
unfold.
assume Veronica Taylor
I'll
is the
do
OG
everything
Ash
in my power
Ketchum.
to protect what I
Tara
cannot afford to
Strong
lose,
was not Ash.
no matter who
Tara
I
Strong?
have to face.
I think Tara Strong. Wait, is Tara Strong in Genshin? Ah, no. No. I'm sorry. I was mistaken. Well, I've heard of Tara Strong. Very popular.
Why does Ashford
Very
sit up on the counter?
popular.
Huh? Was that
Yaki,
Maria
how
who
you
just walked
doing,
past the window?
Yaki? Are you
Doesn't it give you
home?
the chills that he still takes the same
Are
road
you
to work every
home,
day?
Sarah
As if nothing ever
Nato?
happened.
Shitty is the
Those
other
people
voice.
at the deli.
If Tara Strong is in
Enough
Genshin,
already.
I would have done more
They're
Benton
clearly
jokes.
pretty
No, Tara
taken by
Strong
their
is
own
not in
disguises,
Genshin.
so
I
just
was thinking
smile
of
and play
someone
along.
else. The voice
Pull the
of
rug from
Bennett.
under beasts like that,
Bennett,
you'll
Genshin,
risk having your throat
English,
torn out.
voice.
Deli.
Christina
They're talking
Valenzuela.
about those people from the
It's a
opposition.
different. It's a different. Daddy's.
I'd almost forgotten they used to run a
Daddy's
deli.
song.
No consequence, always
I
vanished.
forgot the
So
song.
easily.
Daddy's home. What daddy eating? What daddy eating? What is daddy having for dinner?
But surely you can see he's not the
Chips.
man he pretends to be.
Is that Chips?
So
Chips
many
is
have
in
died
Chris or
already,
Chips is
and
in
they say
like
that the king's madness
fries.
grows with each passing day. We're not going to survive this,
Putin?
are we?
Putin?
But why does it have to be this way? Do we really deserve to die just because of the blood that runs through our veins? Felindis, are you even listening?
Sorry, Freether. My mind was off wandering. I heard you, though. You're talking about what Rerir said. He's just following the king's orders. He's a secret agent, and it's his job to hunt down rebels and dissidents.
By the time you first met him, he'd already taken lives. Maybe he was using you from the very beginning.
No. Rerir has no idea I have anything to do with the Crimson Moon. My family are only distant relatives of the main lineage, and besides, my eyes are perfectly ordinary. Truth be told, apart from my teacher, pretty much no one knows I have any connection to any of it. It's been a long time since my family severed ties.
But as Orlog said, who could possibly talk sense into that raving lunatic of a king?
I'll work something out. Trust me, I'm with you all. But for now, you need to keep yourselves hidden. Don't let anyone find you, anyone at all. Don't forget that Rerir is an Eclipse operative. You need to be extra careful when he's around. And when I am too. For now, don't come looking for me. And if anything happens to me, just act like we've never met.
If even you can't escape this, what hope do the rest of us have? But after all this time together, surely he wouldn't lay a hand on you.
They're like star-crossed lovers.
I won't speak
and
in
they
his
just
defense.
don't know it.
Nor can I give you a clear answer
They're
to
from
that
different
question.
moons.
But I'll do everything I can to put an end to this. Here, hold on to this. If an opportunity to escape presents itself, take it. You'll be glad you took some spare change.
You call that change?
Don't come for looking for me.
But
That's what my
what
mom
about
told
you?
me. No.
I've got a job,
Your
and
mom
there's still
went to
money
get
coming
milk.
in. But
And
you
she
can't
told
go
you not to
anywhere
look
right
for
now.
her.
Please think about
She
yourself
didn't
for
even
once.
say that she was coming back. She just went out to get milk and didn't come back. Milk. Oh, speaking of milk, why is my dog? Dog. I have to give attention to the dog. Bitch better come back with it. I want Nesquik. Nesquik is yummy.
Don't trust your eyes
We've never had
People only
Nesquik
see
at
what they
home.
want
I've
to.
only tried
Don't
Nesquik
be your
when
own
I'm
fool.
over a friend's house and they're kinda rich. Not really kinda rich. They have imported stuff. They have Nesquik. Our staple chocolate. milk chocolate beverage, and here is Milo and Ovaltine. Training room. Nesquik. Oh, I was saying something about milk. Have you guys watched Dan Da Dan? I've been binging it. I'm on season 2 right now. And this is a bit of a spoiler, but out of context, I guess it doesn't make sense. One of the aliens there, their blood is milk. It was kind of funny. Guys, you watched Dan Da Dan, Lucy? Dan Da Dan Dan Da Dan Dan. I don't know how it goes. The opening was really cool. The opening song. Am I supposed to attack
you
that?
have a firm grip on the handle.
Hanya!
Choose your angle
Come
well.
on, how you doing?
Keep your movements light
Pretty lady.
and
How
brisk.
are you? Shout out.
Pray
Hannah.
one sense a thing.
Hannah? Hannah Sakura. Do you have that?
Zero Sean_man2 just
I
follow.
work clean.
Ocean, thank you for the follow. I hope you're enjoying your Pokemon. You read it before the anime came out. They did say that the manga is super good. The manga is like so far. I mean, anime and manga, they've gone so far now, right? Goated based, yes. Goat based in W.
happen.
But here's what Lucy has over everyone. He is Pogi. Pogi Lucy.
The ones I dealt with have always been guilty.
You like people who read the manga first before the anime? The only time I can flex on that is Spy Family. I read Spy Family before it became anime. Is there anything else now? Everything else, I started with the anime. I am reading a lot of mangas and manhwas. Very based, very goated, very W. It's really stupid. I keep saying excuses that I don't read manga anymore because my favorite manga reader got discontinued, and it's so annoying to have to remember which manga you have been reading and where you left off, like on what page specifically. I read the Bleach final arc before it got animated. Yo, that's cool. Bleach! Ichigo! I didn't even read the slime 1 year before it came out as an anime. When I was serving an army. Yo! Army, thank you for the service. Your service.
Try to hold them back, you'll be
To your
swept away
country.
by the
And I read it like a
unstoppable
year
force.
before the anime
And
was
if you try to
announced.
ignore them
I remember
entirely,
people getting so
you'll end up
excited
tearing
when
yourself to
Chainsaw
pieces.
Man was announced. Chainsaw Man? I haven't really read a whole lot to say definitely, but I like Silent Suzuka and Nice Nature. Are those your... Those are Umas, right? This is like added to the original manga that didn't have. Yeah, it's nice when animated versions add some stuff that wasn't in the manga, or like their color interpretations of it, or the way they're voiced. Sometimes manga have much better things. Of course, the OG one is I mean, the light novel is always better. The manga is always better. Even books. I did read the Hunger
boy who was
Games
pretending
books
to
before
sell
the
flowers.
movies came out.
You spoke for quite a while,
I can
didn't
flex
you?
that.
Yes, we did. What about him?
She seemed chill from what I say, but
was
I
arrested
always
2
heck
days
with
ago.
white hair characters.
Chances
Lucy
are
has
he's
white
already
hair.
dead.
Manhwa.
He...
I just don't get it. After everything he's done, why do you still stand by him?
Freezer.
Or does it mean nothing to you that people keep dying?
No, that's not... Just hear me out.
I don't
need to go
read
now,
those, not what I
Olympus.
plan to in
They're
the
looking
future.
for us.
So you only like manga,
You take
not
care, too.
manhwa. What do they call... Manhwa is Korean, right? What do they call
If
the
you ever need a
Chinese
place
ones?
to hide, come find us.
I think the really cool thing about manhwas when I used to read them was that they're usually in color, right? The greatest estate developer, Afronos. Yahoo! Hello, Afronos. Thank you for the first time chat and welcome. How you doing? Just doing some Genshin main story, where we are exploring Rerear's past. It is based My childhood
Author,
best friend
Felindus.
is really into manhwas.
Over the course of this week, the research
Manhwas.
object was subjected to interference
Comedy
for a
and
total
routine
of 47 hours for experimental purposes.
Dun.
The results are as follows.
I'm only on like
All
episode
subjects
7.
of observation
What
that
is
were
in
sent
episode
inside have
7?
now.
I like the gang. The gang
situation
is
within is
a lot
proving
now.
more
So we
problematic than
have
anticipated.
Okaron.
No
We
progress
have
whatsoever.
Ayase-san. We have the pretty pink
What now?
girl. I forgot
Won't
what
you
she's
give me
called.
even a
And
glimmer
we
of
have
hope?
the tall guy
Things
who
are
is
getting worse
possessed
by
by
the
the
day.
evil eye. And of
I
course
have
we
to
have
find a way or we'll all be in
Turbo
danger.
Granny and am I forgetting someone?
But
Turbo
but I-
Granny. The grandma. The hot and
if
sexy
all this
research
research comes to nothing, what
Oh,
then?
you're enjoying it, Genshin?
Sooner or later,
Genshin?
it'll be
Yeah,
my
I
neck
am
on the
enjoying
line.
it. I really love Genshin, by the way. And I am quite late because this
Could
is the
he
main
really
story
bring himself
before
to kill me?
the latest update we had yesterday.
No.
And I did
Surely
get
he
the
wouldn't
rain.
have the
Nobody
heart.
asked, but I got the rain. But I haven't built him yet. They say this is a really good story. The backstory of Rare. I am more for One Piece. Enjoy the One Piece, Lucy. It's so funny because there are certain places in where winds meet where you get into a room with a lot of golden coins and treasures, right? And there's a signpost from another player, and it says the One Piece, and it made me laugh. My first anime was Vampire Hunter. Is that a sounds like a shoujo anime. Return to the office. For real, yeah, it says the One Piece
We don't
Vampire
even know
Hunter
each other.
D. Is that an
All we
action
want is to live
anime?
ordinary, peaceful lives.
Old anime. Let
You
me look
want-
it up. Maybe I've heard of it. Akira Toriyama has great humor. Akira Toriyama, Japanese manga artist.
Yes,
He
I
created.
just want to go on
What
living.
did he create?
Is that really such an unforgivable
There's a
crime?
picture here. Dragon Ball. Made Dragon
You
Ball.
want to
He
go
made
on
Dragon Ball
living.
and Vampire.
I want to
Hunter
keep living too.
D.
To keep
Vampire Hunter
living
D.
forever. That's why I have no choice but to continue on the path I'm on. If
It
only some
was
savior would
first
suddenly swoop
published
down
in
and change the way the world is.
1983.
Too bad that's not going to happen. Imagine that. If there really were such
Just
a
a
person,
year or two ago, I read
you and I wouldn't be
the
standing
manga
here
for.
like
Wait.
this, would we?
Dragon Ball fan. So that's why you mentioned Akira Toriyama. Sorry. Okay. Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z used to be like. It still is. I mean, it's a global phenomenon. But it was like really, really big here in the Philippines. Along with Street Fighter. Yu-Gi-Oh!
Today's files
Hakusho.
are in. Time to wade through
Yeah,
them just
for
like
sure.
usual. No, I don't get tired of it.
Our
my job.
TV stations
And
used
not
to
only am I
play
lucky to have it, I'm good at it, too.
anime after every afternoon. Now they don't. We're getting more Dragon Ball content in January. Really?
That's
Wait, is Toriyama still alive?
Felindus?
No, he's not. But there will be more Dragon Ball content. He died last year. I'm sorry. Mobile game of Dragon Ball Z.
no mark of the Crimson
MOBA?
Moon.
Like
Possibly
League?
have anything to do with them. It cannot be.
Brain issue, that sucks. How old is he?
Diluted bloodline.
68. He was only
Carefully
68.
concealed. I see it
Only
now.
6. At least he lived long enough to see
You've been living
the
in the shadows
success
just like me.
of his life's work.
Fool I've been.
I'm sorry for those
numbing
words.
myself with talk of
It's a
justice.
sad, it was a sad
Even
day for
imagining my
anime
friends would back me
fans.
up.
It's pretty fun. Actually, you know what? I wanna play the Pokemon MOBA. I wanna try that. That's the Pokemon
Mr.
game
King,
I really wanna
How
try.
far are you
Because I
going to
used
take
to
this?
like this game called
From the
Mobile
direct
Legends,
bloodline
but
to
then I
secondary
stopped playing
offshoots.
it. And then I
And
saw
then
some
what?
people playing
Today is the
Pokemon.
descendants of the Crimson
I
Moon.
forgot
Who
what
will
it's
it
called.
be
The
tomorrow?
Pokemon MOBA. And it looked really cute.
Everyone down
You
here
all went
is
silent
dead.
in my D&D group because suddenly I got a breaking news update about it. What is the breaking news? Share it
This
with the
is where
share
it
it with the
ends.
team. He died mid-production of an anime he was heavily involved in. Oh no! Oh no! Mid-production. Wait, the Dragon Ball Z you mentioned that's coming up, is that like posthumous work? Did he create it while he was alive and
Why
they're
does
releasing it
Ashru
only
sit up in
now?
the counter?
Is that
To
the
welcome our
case?
clients, of course. A kitty's gotta earn his kibble somehow.
Hummus. Oh, that Akira. You're recalling the day that Akira Toriyama died. Sorry. There was even One Piece episode where Oda paid the One Piece author paid a tribute. He paid a tribute in One Piece for the Dragon Ball creator. He wasn't fully involved
You're
in it.
really
That's
letting-
fine.
I am.
I hope his legacy
As long
lives
as
for
you
a
can
long
guarantee
time.
that no one
I
will
feel like
find
for a
you.
lot of people,
Don't worry, I'll be
Dragon Ball
extra
Z was
careful.
like the introduction
No one
to
will know I
anime.
was here, but
Me?
I haven't played D&D
If you let
recently.
me
I
go,
need to make a new campaign.
you won't be able to complete your
Yes,
mission.
you must.
Will-
Yes, you must.
Good point.
You just have weekly D&D
In that
stuff,
case,
right? Dragon
maybe you
Ball
should stay.
Super is being drawn
No,
by a different
please.
guy, and Toriyama
I
was
just
mentioning him.
wanna see
So
the
see,
outside
you will
world
see,
again.
you will still see.
To-
Nyanyi!
Go on, living.
Shadow, hello, how are you doing?
Yes.
Hi.
I know you're a
The
man of your
cage.
word,
Nyanyi, thank you for the hydrate.
so please,
And the stretch.
just let me go.
If I let you leave, what will become of me?
Check out Shadow. You're playing God of War Ragnarok.
Just kidding. Go, now.
Oh, gossip
Remember,
girl. Thank you for the headband.
Don't let
as
anyone
well.
know you were caught.
Thank you. Wow, two
We'll be
headbands.
seeing each other again very soon
Two
if you do.
headbands. Guys, you should hydrate and stretch as well. Should I redeem Christmas songs? Go ahead, Hannah, if you want to. I will drink
You've been whispering in my ear for days now, Vedafilnir.
and I will
What are you trying to
stretch.
do? Break me down? I will not abandon this.
Thank you for the Papa Rave. Papa Rave. Yeah, but people stopped coming, ghosting me, so I had to end it prematurely. It's time to look for a new D&D gang. D&D gang.
No,
Speaking
I know
of D&D,
exactly
have you
whose it
watched
is.
Stranger Things?
Vedafilnir.
Toriyama's art style is better than the current guy. He's gonna continue. Of course, you're gonna have favorites because they're all gonna have different art styles.
What's his
But you'll
game
maybe
here?
get used to it.
Tell me then.
Shadow,
What will
thank
this
you again for
moment
the
of
headbands.
opportunity look like?
So many headbands.
And
And you mentioned
answer.
the new Redeem Christmas
He's like a
song.
ghost.
I added a new
Always disturbing me
Redeem
when I'm on edge, but never
where
answering
I
when I
sing
need
a
him most.
Christmas song. That's
So,
it. I didn't
the
want to
Eclipse
promote it
Dynasty
that
was
much
purging.
because I
Well,
might get annoyed
massacring the
if you guys
descendants of
want
the
to.
Crimson
You know,
Moon.
it's there.
And it seems like it was all connected to the
Rad,
Vinster
how
King's
you doing?
research.
Happy Friday. I
The
haven't watched
King's
Stranger Things, but my
obsession
younger
with abyssal power
cousin
left the
keeps
future of
asking.
Conria hanging in the balance. No wonder every aspect of Rarier's life was so unstable.
Followed.
Trash
And it looks
Mello,
like this
thank you so
Galindis,
much for the
Rarier's would-be
follow.
fiancé
Mello,
herself
are
belonged to a
you
sub-branch
Mello
of the
because
Crimson
of
Moon Dynasty's
marshmallows?
descendants.
But anyway, that is a
It
good
almost
name, Trash
defies
Mello.
belief that a
Thank
couple
you,
like
thank you for
them
the
could hide
follow.
the
Thank you,
truth from each
thank you
other for
for
so
the
long.
let's go. It has a
If the
good
Vinster
shift
King
from
hadn't
serious to
intervened in such
goofy.
a
Dragon
drastic
Ball?
way, they
You're
might
good.
have gone
I'll
on
see you keep
deceiving
starting
each other
stream
for the
when I
rest
can
of their
watch right
lives.
away. Messed up.
And why does Vedderfenir, Dainsleif Soldier's brother,
I'm so
keep
sorry.
talking in
Are
Rarier's
you
head?
Mello? Is okay. Okay, thank
This guy
you.
kept more secrets than I ever imagined.
Trash Mellow Mirth just cheered 10 bits.
Thank you for
Mellow
the
is
The
okay.
human
headband.
mind is like a vast
Mello.
desert of shifting
Thank
sands.
you again.
When you follow the flow of
And thank you for the
someone's
first time
memories,
chat. Waka waka.
you'll
Just
only
doing
ever see the
Genshin main
parts they're
story.
willing to let surface.
Genshin main story.
Time for
The
something a
last
bit more
one from the current
creative.
update.
We've been inside
Thank you for
Rarier's
the
mind
bits.
this whole
Yeah, thank you
time.
for the bits. Wait, I
building up
need
a
to go to the
picture of his
bathroom. I'm
psyche.
sorry.
There's
I'll be
already
back.
enough clues on the
I'll
board
be
to start
back.
reading between the
Where's my
lines
BRB?
and mapping out the rest.
Now, we can finally begin to put the pieces together.
It's okay, I forgive
Sure,
you.
it'll only be a
Thank you for your
reconstruction.
forgiveness.
That's
Not for you.
simulation,
Obviously, it's
part
actually an
reasoning.
issue. I just want to
But
be here to
it's
support,
usually
and
pretty
I
accurate.
appreciate you.
Once we've built up a
I
cognitive
appreciate
profile,
you.
we just need to cross-check the logic
I
behind his
gotta
actions.
go
And
bathroom.
then we'll be able to take a sneak
But where
peek at
is my
whatever it is that
BRB?
Rerir has really been hiding.
It's in the first one. I will be back.
Rerir, are you there?
Red, how are you? How are you? What have you been up to? Shadow, everyone is feeling the holiday spirits. Yeah! Yeah! We don't have Christmas decor because my mom thinks we don't need it anymore because we're old, but we're still doing the Christmas thing on the 24th and the 25th. How is Christmas in your homes and your neighborhoods, guys? Are your neighbors putting up Christmas decor? Do you have Christmas decor? Welcome back. Thank you, Mick. Thank you. What you doing, by the way? Are you playing Where Winds Meet right now? I wanna play it so bad. But I was thinking, the last time I streamed it, my head hurt, and my PC can barely handle it, so I'm just gonna do Genshin. Cause when else am I gonna get to finish Genshin story? Very bright and colorful where I'm at with the decorations. That is nice. I miss that. Here in the Philippines, we used to do so many Christmas decorations in malls and streets. Whenever I see boys and girls, Christmas songs everywhere. These days, nah. I think like it's a big sign of, you know, how poor how poor we are, or like maybe a sign of the times. I miss Christmas decorations. It's so nice and bright and colorful and festive, and makes you feel all warm inside. My family stopped doing Christmas decor years ago. Same. Like last year, we even had a tiny Christmas tree. And then, for some reason, my mom threw it out and now we have nothing. Absolutely zero. No lantern, no nothing. No Christmas lights. We even used to have Christmas lights. I can go for a snack. I would love to have a snack. I haven't eaten today. To be fair though, I woke up noontime and then had coffee. I was thinking of getting bread, but I was too lazy. And now I have not eaten anything. Welcome back. Thank you, Rat. Thank you, Rat. What? Yeah, I haven't. What? No Christmas decor? No food? Yeah. Guess what? What, Rat? What? Oh, bitches.
Ratsoon_Squeaku just subscribed.
What? Rat, thank you. Did you? I'm sorry for the automated message, but thank you for the sub. Arigato. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. It's an early Christmas. Thank you. You're a little early. It's okay. We start Christmas in September. The moment the Burr months hit, September, October is already Christmas season in the Philippines. Thank you. But speaking of snack, guys. I haven't eaten yet, right? I'll probably eat most likely after stream. Definitely after stream because I don't like eating while streaming. Help me decide because I'm all alone. I'm home alone, right? I only have frozen foods, air fryable foods. Should I have bacon or nuggies? No, we don't do Halloween. It's not a big thing here. We do have Halloween, All Saints Day, All Souls Day, but it's mostly visiting your deceased relatives in the cemetery. But we don't do Halloween trick or treat. Some rich people do. It's a rich people thing where the kids dress up. They have safe and rich neighborhoods where they can go trick or treating. Oh shit, remind me I have a soft pretzel I need to eat. Go eat. You must eat. Nuggies? Jollibee meal? I can't buy Jollibee right now. My mom just left me a bunch of food I can, microwave or air fry. You could fry some bread with the bacon. Oh, mellow. That sounds good. Toasted bread, fried bread. Maybe I can make French toast as well. I have milk, I have eggs. I see. Yes. Just like the dressing up. I forgot, Rad. Did you dress up for Halloween? What am I supposed to do? What is this? Talk to Dainsleaf, but I have to do a thing? No. Wait, so no Jollibee? Too late for that. Nah, no Jollibee. Can't Jollibee today.
Quick, come with me. I'll explain everything once we've met up with the others.
I was thinking of getting Jollibee the other day, but then I saw this chicken place.
I'll come.
That for
$6
you get a chicken. You get 2 pieces of chicken and Java rice. I ordered that one instead. When I was still in crutches, people asked me what my cosplay is at convention. Is there someone you can cosplay while in crutches? I can't think. I will rest. It's 5 a.m. No! Nice I found your stream. Have an amazing day, everyone. Thank you, Melo. Thank you for dropping by. I'm so happy you found me as well. Please get good rest. 5 a.m. Sometimes I sleep at 5 a.m. too. Yeah, thank you. I hope you have an amazing, not really amazing, a very restful night sleep. Thank you, hello, thank you. I wanna try Jollibee, but there are no places near me. I told you, Draco, there's a couple of them in your states. In your state? But I reckon it's kind of far from you. Like, speaking realistically, 5 a.m. for me, but we ball. And so Mellow is an EST as well. Interesting. It is almost 6 p.m. here. 6 p.m. Oh, in 30 minutes, I have to feed the dog. I hope I remember. No. I walked past it at the American Dream Mall. Someone said a 30-minute. It's fine. I can see the clock right here. I have 3 dogs right here, Shadow. One of them is on a chair beside me. The other one is sitting near my feet, and the third one is also near my feet. I'm surrounded by dogs. Dog cam when? I'm not sure. I would love to do that, actually. I would love to do that. I already did streams where I eat, right? I eat, I show my food, I show my hand. What's stopping me from doing dogs? I have to plan it. Thank you for the head butter. You'll see my 3 dogs. But how? Celphy, showing the dogs on stream. No way. Someday. I don't have an external webcam. I only have the webcam of my laptop, but I can use my iPhone as camera through OBS camera. That's what I did with the food. Maybe we can show just one dog at a time, because you know they've been moving around.
We do not fear the day.
Should I put a shock collar? Just kidding. Who is it? Who is it? Streamer who got flamed so bad.
I'm told it prefers
Hassan? Was it Hassan?
The word on the street is that Sir Delogi only strikes when he has an unfair
advantage.
But that is patently false. I see you're missing an arm and a leg.
Kona-chan, thank
Surely
you for
only
the
a fair
follow.
fight could
Appreciate
explain
you
that.
and welcome.
If this is your way of offering me replacement limbs,
Yeah, was it
believe
Hassan something? Hassan
I'll take
something. Yeah, right. I don't know if you've heard of it. One popular
bioalchemy
streamer.
Anything is possible.
I think he was a male political
Assuming I
streamer,
have
I
your
think.
full
And
support
he
in
was
my
caught
research.
shocking his dog on stream because he didn't want the
Lunatic.
dog to be moving around, and
robbed it
people
here.
saw him. It wasn't
brings
shown
you
on camera.
Why Dainsliff,
You
of
know,
course.
but it's
He invited me.
it's sad,
Please,
right? It's just funny
cast
that they
aside your
made so many
apprehensions,
memes
Miss
about
Rhine-Daughter.
it. I think
Whatever
there's
the
even
rumors
like
may say,
a game, a
I am but
Roblox
a
game. I
humble
forgot if
servant
it's a
of the king,
Roblox game.
and I can assure you he affords me no greater convenience than he does
created
you.
game where
Well, the
you can play as
Universitas
Hassan's
Magistrorum
dog.
won't stop fawning
I've
over
actually
you.
been a shock
So at least
collar.
some
Yeah,
of the
shock
rumors must be
collar.
true. You're clearly
In a
doing
care
well
to
for
fact check.
yourself.
I don't think there's like
So
a
drop the
concrete
humble
proof
servant
that it was a shock collar, because
It
he
endears
keeps
you to no
denying
one.
it. He's saying
You're
there's
president
a
of the
collar, but he
Universitas
removed the
Magistrorum,
electrifying part
The
of it.
chief royal mage known as the Wise
But you know, there are
by royal
speculations
appointment,
that it really was a
and by far
shock
the most
collar, but there's
favored
no
among the 4
concrete.
pillars of Conria.
Oh, there you go.
Vice
Kiona.
President Veet doesn't even try to hide his
Fu.
envy
They
when he
found
sees
the
you.
exact make of the color, and
My
it had
success is the product of hard
removable.
work
There you
and
go,
good luck.
removable shock
It's as
component.
simple
So
as
it's, he just
Were the
removed the
king
shock
not such
part
an
before showing
extremist,
it. It
I
would have been
hardly
easy
think
to
I
just
would have
remove
received a
it,
senior post
because we
at my
we
age.
don't really know
Of
unless we
course,
inspect the
no
color
job is
at
without its
that
gripes.
exact time.
Serving a king
People
like
thought
ours can
he
be a
was shocking
challenging
the
task,
dog.
as I'm sure you can
I think I
imagine.
watched a couple
And
of
as for after
YouTube
In missing
videos
out on the
about
presidency,
it. At that
he's
time,
dodged a
it was
mountain
all
of stress.
speculation.
Like everything else in life.
It was
It
also
comes with
crazy.
pros
He had a girlfriend
cons.
who was trying to defend him, and then she
You're all
got
here.
people.
I
People got
apologize for
mad
the
at
short
her
notice,
as
but it was
well.
an emergency.
He should put it on and activate everything exactly. The sad thing is, it's actually really
You
painful,
must
the
be
shock collar.
Maria.
And I don't know. Well, I understand why people would do it,
Mr.
but it's very
Sotoroji.
wrong and it's very
Yes, I
bad
handled
and
your case file during
inhumane.
your sentencing. Nothing
Hamster!
personal, of
Hello,
course.
sweet hamster. Good
I'm pleasantly
morning. And
surprised that you
Celphy and
remember me.
everyone. Hope you're all
You're
having a
clearly a
gorgeous
person
day.
of
You too,
substance
you
if you've been
gorgeous
invited
hamster.
here. But
How are
Dainsleif,
you? How
you
are
better
you?
have a very good reason for convening
You
this
better
little
be having a
gathering.
nice day. You better be having a nice day.
It's my
or I'm
brother,
gonna hunt you down.
Vedalfenir.
Get them.
After he spoke at the
Where
court
am
this morning,
I?
the king was so infuriated by his words that he had him blinded in both eyes and thrown in prison.
Vedalfenir in prison? Strange. I thought the king trusted him and Horoptatyr more than anyone else in the world. Does this mean the king's circle of trust just got even smaller?
It has nothing to do with trust. It's about what the king wants, which is
I'm
as
just
clear
trying
as
to
day to
comprehend
anyone
what's
paying
happening.
attention. I simply
This is no
appease him,
longer
because it's in the best
flashback,
interests of the
right?
Universitas Magistrorum.
Universitas.
And also
Magistrorum.
because you're slimy. Vedalfenir,
Are these the
perhaps less
sinners?
so,
These are the
but
sinners,
still,
right?
a visionless visionary? It rather inclines me to think that qualifications are not what get you ahead in Conria.
Do you honestly think this is an important discussion to be having right now?
Yeah, the
Dane.
sinners.
What are you planning to do?
Rescue Vedalfenir, I assume.
I only know
Correct.
Sertologi and Reindotter.
It will mean storming the palace by force.
Reindotter.
Tonight.
Sophie, should I
all of you
order
on my
Wendy's
side.
breakfast to piss
That's
Sophia
far too
off? She
dangerous.
hates their breakfast.
And don't forget,
Yes, you
Dainsleif,
should.
you're
If
captain of the
you
royal
kinda
guard.
like
You
it,
swore an oath to the throne.
and it serves a double purpose.
You've been planning this for a while, haven't you?
Boom, boom, boom.
I have no desire to commit treason.
Thank you for the
But
boom,
whatever
boom, boom,
critique the
shadow.
king may have of
If you kinda
Vedalfenir,
like it,
disfiguring
and
your
she's
most
gonna be
loyal
pissed off because
subjects
she
for
hates
putting the
it,
best
order
interests
it.
of his court
I
and
am
nation
pro
first.
annoying. Pro
This is
annoying,
not the
pro
conduct of a
annoying your
wise
friends
ruler.
lovingly.
My blade will force the king to see the error of his ways.
Because you're
So,
beautiful. Thank you
Vedalfenir's
for the
prophecy enraged the king. I'm sure it wasn't what he wanted to hear, but if he won't take counsel even from the visionary, that is
I had it
deeply
once,
troubling
but she
news.
expressed disgust
The
at
extent
me
of His
over it.
Majesty's
Can you
madness
tell
is
me
now all too
specifically what
clear.
she hates about it? What is
The question
wrong? What is bad with
How does a
Wendy's
man like me
breakfast?
get out of this situation unscathed? You have noble ambitions, Dane. But I'm afraid they don't do much for a guy like me. I'm not interested in saving the world. All I want is a letter of pardon.
A letter of pardon? For whom? Thelindis? The chances of the Vinster King issuing a pardon for anyone connected to the
says it's
Crimson
nasty.
Moon
So
seem
she
vanishingly
hates
slim.
Wendy's breakfast, but likes regular Wendy's. Is that it? Nah, don't need to do more puzzles. I
This
don't
black
want
fog
to.
over the board must have some connection to Thelindis. But why is it taking this form? Does it have something to do with
Does it
Ramir's
elaborate?
past? Another mystery I'll need to unravel.
Never. Have you guys seen the Colombina leaks? A lot of people are complaining that it's not as flashy as they would hope it to be. But some people are saying it's just because it's still in beta. I really have high expectations for Colombina. Everybody is not pulling for Doreen because they want Colombina. So, you know, and also she's the Archon. She has to be. Her animations have to be as beautiful as Mavawika's or even better. I pulled for Doreen. Me too! Me too! I'm sorry, I was just generalizing, but Kionafu, I have Doreen as well. And now I have only 40 pulls left. So if Colombina is really coming after, soon, I have no more pulls for Colombina. I like Doreen. We've known Doreen for a long time since the beginning. The Harbingers as well, but you know, Doreen is Doreen. He's our mini cute dragon. Yeah, she likes Wendy's nuts. Got them. Wendy's. So far, we already have McDonald's, Wendy's, What other American fast food chains we have here? We don't have Waffle House. Is it Waffle House? Waffle House. We don't have Raising Cane's. I want to try Raising Cane's. Joking, but she does like normal Wendy's. It's so weird that she didn't elaborate. In here, we have McDonald's breakfast, maybe Wendy's breakfast as well, but they're pretty much the same. Maybe they just have, I don't know, fried rice. I've never had Waffle House. Why not? Why not? Is it because Waffle House is not everywhere in East Coast? Wait, East Coast? It's called East Coast, right? East Coast, and West Coast is like California. Raising Cane's got added over here. My brother's friend's family owns it. Oh, they're franchising it? What happens? No. Owns the location. So his friend is a manager. Hello, comrade. Hello, Red Bull. 333. Thank you so much for the first time chat. How you doing? Welcome, welcome. Hello, comrade. Comrade? Is that a nod? Wait, who calls us comrade? Is it Tartaglia? Tartaglia. No, that was the wrong move. That was the wrong move. I hate it. I hate it. I am not crazy about their food. I think it's just okay. If I want fried chicken, it's not my first choice. Is Raising Cane's the one that's closed every Sunday? Or is that a different one? Or is that a different one? Red Bull. Is that Herta? Kararin. Escape. Wait, I did read what those things are supposed to do. You lose points. No, you lose points when you get them. Chick-fil-A. What do you think of Chick-fil-A? I don't know English well, so forgive me. It's fine. English is my second language. My first language is Filipino. In this club, we are all non-native English. But not just kidding. Draco is American. America, yeah. Where are you from, if you don't mind? I love hearing people talk about chain places because while there's some in nearby cities, there's none in the town I live in, so I don't really go to places that often. Right. I understand. I used to have a friend like in England, UK, and they don't live in London. And I don't think they've ever had the usual fast food places that we talk about. And they've, as of 2023, I think, or 2022, they've never had milk tea. So, it's decent, kinda overrated. Oh, cause Draco, there was once I think a tweet I saw naming Jollibee as the #1 fried chicken, and a lot of Americans were mad in the comments saying they like Chick-fil-A more, KFC more, etc. So I'm just curious how, Chick-fil-A, Raising Cane's, etc. taste like. I like their nuggets a lot, but I think that all fast food chicken sandwiches taste the same to me. They could. I like Popeye's chicken sandwich. Where's the homophobia? Wait. Oh yeah. Wait. Let me think. Chick-fil-A has the homophobic CEO or something. I kinda remember it now. Moscow. Where is Moscow? Russia? Moscow. Yeah, capital of Russia. Yo! Russia. That's really cool. Someone was here earlier. Igor, I think. From Russia as well. Greetings. I hope you're doing fine. I hope it's not too cold where you are. Is it also winter there? Half of Russia is in Asia, right? I only learned that like this year. Half of Russia is in Asia or something. Waffle fries are good, but not nearly as much of a godsend. I see. I trust your taste. Or do I? You're kind of picky, Draco. Hate queer people and it sucks. That sucks. You don't need them. You don't need them. It's really not worth the homophobia. You're learning English on streams? Now I'm conscious. I have to speak acceptable English now. It's fine. Has it been fun learning English from streams? I would guess it's fun because if you're not learning from an app, right, you can chat directly and they will answer to you, and it's like a convenient way of conversing with someone from Croatia. We have the United Nations here. Let's go. They have Christian values, so that overlaps with homophobia. That is also why they are closed on Sundays. Oh, because it's God's Day on Sundays. I see. W. Croatia. Russia. So I think it's less of a CEO thing and more of a company as a whole. I think so, yeah, cause I think I saw some people bashing the employees, and they were like, what my CEO does is not a reflection of my personal beliefs, you know. I'm just trying to make a living. And sometimes, you know, with the economic climate, whatever, you just have to take the jobs that you can. How fast do you speak? Do you speak fast? I don't think I speak fast. I know people speak really fast. What was I gonna say? Croatia. A country in the Balkans. Central Southeast Europe. Yo. Mi no habla inglés. No habla español. No habla inglés. Sí. Wanna see someone speak fast English? Let me solo. There you go. You just have to tune into a Draco stream. That's fast English speaking. Yeah, to be clear, do not be mean to service workers. Exactly. You be kind, because you know sometimes how you treat service workers is kind of a reflection on how kind you are to people regardless of their status in life. Why did I get so serious? Because the same person that I dated before, who was like really into Pokemon, he grew up upper middle class, I think, maybe. And when we went eating outside, sometimes he'd be mean to the servers and we fought over it. I was like, you have to be kinder. I don't like it that you're like that towards, you know, waiters and stuff. It's opposite Italy with a similar Mediterranean vibes. Mediterranean food. Yummy. Italy, yummy. And also, this is how you get spit in your food. Exactly. Have you guys not seen? You guys, Bomber 15. You guys have probably seen the service workers who do bad stuff to food. I know it's not common. Hopefully, it's not common. But you know, you may never know. Karma might bite you back. Don't be mean to everyone equally. Yeah. Sheesh, I'm sorry, Celphy. Wait. Yeah, oh, you're saying sorry because of the guy. Yeah, we're broken up for a reason. I think I'm sorry for maybe trauma dumping or overshare. That guy had like entitlement and anger management issues, now that I think about it. If I ever date someone who is mean to service workers, it's over instantly. I don't know why it ended it right there and there. It ended in a bit of a big fight. But probably in my thinking, I was like, I can change them. can change them. I can undo the 20 plus years of entitlement conditioning that his family has bestowed upon him, maybe. For the bad part, yeah, was, it's so weird. They weren't even rich. It's just that they came from a family of lawyers and doctors. So that's why they kind of feel maybe that they're above everyone else. They're not even that rich. I worked as a service worker before. I already know the pain of that job. Exactly. High five. I used to be a barista. And I know what they go through. There's this YouTuber I watch who said that I feel like everyone should work in retail or in service at one time in their life, just so they know, just so they can be I can fix. I'm sorry, Red. The red flag was screaming at my face, but I was blind. I refused to see it. I mean, to be fair, as someone that's known you for a few years, you have grown a lot in that regard. Really? Me? They're speaking Russia. They're speaking the mother tongue. Where do I go from here? Where do I go? If I go back... No, I can't go back. Do I want to go to number 5? Number 5? Where is my end goal though? Yeah, sorry, don't worry, nothing bad. I trust you, Lucy. What were you guys talking about? Just like greeting each other? No! No! I was mistaken. It's getting cold in my area! Yay! Is it cold enough for you to wear a sweater?
Over the course of
I'm
this
not
week,
gonna delve into the personal
research
stuff, but I
object was
think so.
subjected to interference for a total of 60 hours
am
for
happy
experimental
that you think
purposes.
so.
The
Same
results are
with
as
you.
follows.
Bless
Research
you,
dating back
actually.
to the Crimson Moon Dynasty
I mean, you're
has
still you,
established 2
but
points
I feel like
regarding
your
moon marrow.
experiences have
Firstly,
made you a more mature
its origins
person,
have something to
and
do
I'm
with
proud
the
of
god's
you.
power.
He was telling that you're
Secondly,
talking fast.
it serves
It is
as
hard
a
to
portal to
understand.
an as-yet
Really, I'm
indeterminate
sorry.
location.
You
Moon
don't need
marrow
to
can thus be
translate this for
defined
them,
as a
but
spatial
maybe I
gateway.
talk fast because I'm
However,
a
there are a
nervous
number of
yapper.
hurdles to
I'm a
overcome before we
nervous
can answer
yapper.
the question of where it
They're
leads to.
plotting to make you shower,
To start
not
with,
the shower.
opening the gateway requires a
Not
specific
the
power
shower.
source, which
I
the
don't
relevant
wanna
literature
shower.
indicates. An
I wanna
enormous
stay
amount of power is
stinky.
then
Just
required to keep
kidding.
the gate
Please
open.
don't clip that or whatever.
Currently, the total power
You're not
output of
talking
our
fast. You're
instruments
talking
remains in
sweet.
the
It's
single
perfectly fine.
digits.
Thank you, Lucy.
To make matters worse,
Thank you.
I am now the only staff member
But
remaining in the
if they
Moon
think
Marrow
I
lab.
talk fast,
The
maybe it's a
Universitas
challenge
Magistrorum
for them.
recently decided to move most of its
you know.
personnel into abyssal energy research,
You
which
can
has
if you are
stymied all
chilly.
Crimson Moon
You
related
can if
projects.
you're chilly. Let's go.
This is not a wise
Mag-matching
move.
sweater na kayo
I've
ni
always
Shore.
maintained that placing all our hopes
Shore
in a
is always
single
wearing
source of power is
sweaters
risky,
because she is
especially when
in
as
one of the
poorly
coldest
understood as
areas
this,
in the Philippines.
as well as
I'm
making
kinda
ourselves
jealous.
overly reliant
I
on a
was
single
traumatized
resource.
into building
We are
character this
neglecting
past
other promising
year.
technologies. I apologize if this comes across
You
as
were forced to
disrespectful.
build character.
But as
It's
a Moon Marrow
character
researcher, I
development.
desperately
It's been
want to see the
3
world beyond
weeks.
the gateway.
No, how did
If
you
we really
know?
made it there one day,
I
what
have
would
to
we find?
conserve water and
how would
also
we
I
go
have
about
nothing
taming
to
the
wear.
My imagination is endlessly fueled by
Like
questions
people
such as
from
these.
USA and UK talk so much faster. Actually, yeah. Compared to them, I would imagine that I speak a lot slower. Because, you know, my brain is thinking in my native language and I have to produce English sounds. That's what's happening up there. So it's slower. When does the suffering arc end? When will the writers let me wear? I think they're on strike. They're on strike. That's why they're having a bad time. My dog. Mikan, anong Tagalog ng kalabit? My dog is making kalabit. My dog is using his paw to get my attention. I don't know how to say it in English. Poke! My dog is poking me. Thank you, Mikan. My dog is poking me. I don't know why. Because it's close to dinner time. Pain filler arc, what the hell, man. Don't worry, Draco. The payoff will be good. You will get your due. Your due. I believe in karma. When you're down, there's no way but up. I talk fast, but I don't realize I do. You do because I feel like you have high IQ. I feel like you have high IQ, and also because you have an overactive brain, and also it's maybe a cultural thing. Nudge, for a fancy way of wording thingy. My dog is nudging me. My dog is poking me. Nudge. Maybe it is a nudge. I'm very good at sort of like improvising fast talk. My IQ is 121. That's really high, right? Maybe it was with Kiona. Actually, that's the thing. It's almost their meal time. I died. Oh my god, no, I can make it if we try. Do I need to fight those purple thingies or nah? No. Negative 121 na. I feel like I have a high IQ as well. I kinda wanna take an IQ test. You can take one online, right? But I don't. Come to think of it, I don't
heard you're
want
gonna leave
to.
the city with your parents.
Because I don't like thinking.
Belinda's-
So maybe I really have low IQ. It depends
hear
on who you
about
ask, but it's
what
considered
happened?
higher. Yeah,
I've heard
I
nothing.
saw someone with one.
Maria
They
got back
were
very late last Friday.
complimenting
and he
someone
was
with
acting a little
140
unusual,
IQ. They
but
graduated
he
from
slept pretty
Harvard
well,
or something
so
like that. So
I'm
I'm
guessing
assuming
whatever he did
anyone
was a
with
good deed.
whose IQ is higher than 100 is like really smart. I'm so dumb that I'll be the first
never saw
question
him,
who will
and I don't know
fail
what he
IQ
did.
test.
And
No,
this conversation
I don't think so,
never
Lucy.
happened.
I don't
You
think so.
understand?
You're always
What if he
you're
finds
always
out that
like
you
that.
pried into
I'm
his
not
secrets?
boggy. I'm not talented.
Don't be
I'm not
silly.
smart.
I don't know
What
what
is
secrets
the
he does
opposite?
or doesn't have.
It is the
All I know
contrary.
is he's just a normal guy who
You are
happens to
smart.
run
You
some
are
errands for the
talented.
king.
You're very
Are you
skilled.
scared of him?
You're very skilled. No, I
I
will
don't know.
punch you. I
The
will
Revere
punch you
I
in
know
Russian.
doesn't match the
Can you
person
hear
you all
that?
describe.
It's me punching
Logically,
my
I should
palm
be
with
scared
my
of him.
fist.
And yet, I don't want to lose him.
I'm gonna beat you up
But enough about that.
in Minecraft.
You should get going
I
and be
technically
careful with the
might have a
package I
higher
gave you.
score because I
Keep
struggle
it
with certain
secret.
part of the things,
Keep
but I
it
think
safe.
IQ tests
What's
are
in it?
stupid. Intelligence is way too
A
broad
piece
of a
of the
thing.
moon. All you need to know
It's
is
the
that as long as you
grade D.
keep it
The
safe,
grade D is a
then in the future,
dance, right?
everyone will
it's a
be
dance.
able to
I'll pat
see
you.
a
Thank
red
you. I
moon.
will pat you too. Just wait,
A red
Lucy.
moon?
On your next stream, you're
You
gonna
mean
get a lot of
Our
patting.
moon.
Patting.
That's right.
Selfie on the
Our
bullying
moon.
art. They're bullying me.
Promise me you'll look after it.
I'm the one who bullies
I
chat.
promise, Celindis.
I'm
The
the
Crimson
bully.
Moon bloodline will never die out. Its light, the color of blood, will become
Thank you,
like a
Genshin, for
fire
not
that
making
flows
the
in our
puzzle too
veins,
hard. I
no
was
matter
not
how
reading.
long it takes.
I just know that right now. We're still under there, and Celindis is trying to make excuses on why she's still dating Rare, even though she knows the truth about Rare. I'll get bald like that. You can still wear wigs. Wigs are very fashionable right now. Bro, why is there more of this? Should I feed the dogs more? No, let's finish this puzzle first and then we'll feed the dogs. I'll go back. Can I go back? Can I not go back? have to go through all of it. By the way, cute Celphy, make a game sound a little lower. I think it's too loud. Oh, thank you for letting me know. Thank you. Is this better? Thank you, Lucy. No problem. Hehe. Where am I gonna respond? This new chess update kinda mid. It is.
This is me at my most evil. Do your evil laugh.
Noctis_void just followed.
Noctis Void, welcome. Thank you so much for the follow. How you doing? I'm just trying to figure out this puzzle thing. Kind of chess thing so I can progress with the story. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having a nice day. Can I restart or nah? Five. I have to go here. Can I restart it? You have to go back and go right. Thank you, Noctis. Can I restart it? No. Exit. No! I'm back here. She's gonna blue screen. No, I will not. You just gotta lock in a little, and I wanna go back to the starting point. But I'm afraid that it gave me a warning. Experience the content again, and I don't want to. Let's try it. Let's try the exit thing if it works. Begin the ceremony? I swear if it goes back to the beginning, I'm gonna sue you, Genshin Impact. It is! Do you have to do the puzzles all over again?
Rare, are you...
What did we do last time? Sue them for a $1 billion dollars. I absolutely will.
Dane? Quick, come with me. All right.
Oh, we have to do the whole long conversation again. I'm gonna sue them. $1 billion. What did I do before? You gotta hit that 5 spot. Thank you. I don't wanna backseat you. You can go to the 5, no? It's fine. I can't reach number 5. The first number 5, sorry. Well, we're already at 5. I did this earlier. I don't know how I did this earlier. Take the slide. Okay, we go here and we hit the slide. Oh, you mean like going back, like this one?
Vietnam Television just traded with 1 viewers.
Vietnam Television! Thank you so much for the raid. Thank you. This is so embarrassing, but I'm currently lost in the sauce of the Genshin puzzle right now. But thank you and welcome, raiders. Hi, I'm Celphy. We're just playing some Genshin. The main story, where I'm stuck at, trying to figure out the puzzle. But hello and welcome. I hope you guys have a good day. If you want to lurk or go rest, that's totally fine. What did you play, by the way? SO Vietnam. Take the other slide and you're good to go. Thank you. Let me shout out first Vietnam Television. That's an interesting SKSP. Politics? Is that the name of the game or is that the topic of your stream? Well, welcome. I hope you guys like Genshin. You guys were right. I had to go back and get the 5. Thank you. You guys have to help me in the next puzzle as well. VTV News? Really?
Well, this is a nice change.
VTV News. Welcome.
When men and women of ambition can speak face to face in broad daylight, I say that's a big step forward for our dear Conria.
Don't be ridiculous. We do not fear the day.
Thank you again for the raid. I'm sorry, I have to feed my dogs right now. Gonna be like your parent helping you do your homework. I have to feed the dogs. I will be back. The conversation will autoplay. In the meantime, where's my BRB?
But that is patently false. I see you're missing an arm and a leg. Surely only a fair fight could explain that.
If this is your way of offering me replacement limbs, believe me, I'll take them.
Oh, we can certainly discuss that. With bioalchemy, anything is possible. Assuming I have your full support in my research.
Lunatic. Robtatir. What brings you here?
Why, Dainsleif, of course. He invited me. Please, cast aside your apprehensions, Miss Rhindaughter. Whatever the rumors may say, I am but a humble servant of the king, and I can assure you he affords me no greater convenience than he does you.
Well, the Universitas Magistrorum won't stop fawning over you, so at least some of the rumors must be true. You're clearly doing well for yourself, so drop the humble servant act. It endears you to no one. You're president of the Universitas Magistrorum, the chief royal mage known as the Wise by royal appointment, and by far the most favored among the 4 pillars of Conria. Vice President Veit doesn't even try to hide his envy when he sees you.
My success is the product of hard work and good luck. It's as simple as that. Were the king not such an extremist, I hardly think I would have received a senior post at my age. Of course, no job is without its gripes. Serving a king like ours can be a challenging task, as I'm sure you can imagine. And as for Efterveit, in missing out on the presidency, he's dodged a mountain of stress. Like everything else in life, it comes with pros and cons.
You're all here. I apologize for the short notice, but it was an emergency.
You must be Rerir.
Mr. Sertologi. Yes, I handled your case file during your sentencing. Nothing personal, of course. I'm pleasantly surprised that you remember me.
You're clearly a person of substance if you've been in
I know I had another coming news. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was looking at Twitch and I didn't notice it was playing. Sorry. You can hear my browser. Yeah, I was trying to look at that VTV stream. VTV. Twitch. TV. Sorry about that. The dogs are fed, have been fed. Vietnam. Television, SKSP.
Of trust just got even smaller.
It has nothing to do with
I opened
trust.
Twitch and it played a random stream on the front page. Oh, there's no VODs. I was just curious what the VTV was all about. But BRB still there. Excuse me.
Because you're slimy.
You're slimy. You're slimy. You guys know this American TV show called Veep? It's like a sitcom about the vice president of America. Fictional, of course, a fictional vice president. It was really funny. And it had some of the best insults I've ever heard. Best English insults. I can't name them at the top of my head, but their favorite person to insult was this tall guy. It was funny.
That's far too dangerous.
Why did I think of that? Oh, the insults. You know what's a good horror show? It's called From. What horror show?
Been planning this for a while.
What horror
I have
show?
no desire to commit treason. My blade will force.
So, Vedalfonir's prophecy reached the king. The extent of his majesty's met. You have.
Genshin, I implore you to add a skip button. The name of the show is From. What is it about? Horror show. From.
This black fog over the board must have
It's not
some connection to Thelindis. But why is it
Hey,
taking
there you
this
go.
form?
American science fiction horror about a town that traps those who enter, whose residents are terrorized by mysterious creatures at night. Ooh. From TV series. Yeah, Draco gets it. Wonder if it's on Netflix. Netflix. From. It's not in Netflix. Is it in HBO? Or do we have to sail the high seas? Where? From. It's not in here as well. Is that your favorite horror show? The last horror media I consumed. The last horror movie I watched is Weapons. The Weapons went viral. Even Penguin Zero made like not really complained about. He made a video about it. And he said it was underwhelming, and I agree with him. Smile 2. I really liked Smile 2. Smile 1 and Smile 2. It's on Amazon. Sadly, I don't have Prime. I used to have Prime, but now I can't afford it anymore. The marketing campaign? What was the marketing campaign? I didn't see it. Maybe it's because I'm in the Philippines. I didn't see any marketing campaign about From. I solved this earlier. Why do I have to do it again? Okay, we're on 6. Do we go on 4? We go back to 6. Trailers? And they had live streams, so I didn't see it. I don't think I've even heard of it. So this one was easier.
Author Thelindis. Over the course of this week, the research object was subjected to interference for a total of 60 hours for experimental purposes.
Had a friend who tried to share their Amazon Prime subscription with me. Unfortunately, apparently, American users, I mean, if you're from one country, you cannot share your account with someone from another country. I'm shocked they don't have a skip Draco. It's been 4, 5. How many years has it been? 6 years? 5 years? And they still don't have a skip button.
To start with.
Thanks a lot, Jeff Bezos. Exactly. It's so annoying. It was really kind of them to try to share their Prime subscription with me, but when I tried logging in, they were like, "Sorry, you cannot access anything because you're from a different country." Maybe I could have used VPN, but all the good VPN are paid, right? There's no like really good free VPN right now. Right, hello, how are you? How you doing? Hello, it's been a while. Happy December, it's almost Christmas. Shout out, Rizzo.
Especially one as poorly understood as this.
Jeff Bezos. Yes, how are you? Are you in Germany right now or something?
But as a moon marrow researcher, I desperately want to see the world beyond the gateway. If we really made it there one day, what would we find? And how would we go about taming the unknown?
I was looking at Shenzhen countries. Was it a couple of days ago? Shenzhen. You're good, that's nice. How are you? I'm great. I'm home alone with the dogs because my family is on a trip. And yeah, they're in Japan. They're enjoying the land of the rising sun. Where am I? What am I doing? Where is the end? I forgot what I did before. No, wrong move. 1, 2, 3.
This is for you.
Thelindis.
I've heard nothing. You never saw him.
What if he finds out that you pried into...
Don't be silly. I don't know what secrets he does or doesn't have. All I know is he's just a normal guy who happens to run some
Don't be
errands
like
for a king.
Thelindis.
Are you scared?
Do not ignore the red flags.
I don't know. The Rerir I know doesn't match the... Logically, but enough about that.
What's in it?
A piece of the moon.
A red moon?
That's right. Our moon.
I promise, Thelindis.
The Crimson Moon bloodline will never die out. Its light, the color of blood, will become like a fire that flows in our veins.
I just know that right now Arlecchino is holding the Crimson Moon. Another moon is with Columbina and another moon is with us. Sometimes ignoring red flags is worth trust. It depends probably on how big the red flag is. Last Christmas, Shadow, thank you for the Christmas song, Redeem. It is Christmas time in the city. Wait, we have to move over Last Christmas Last Christmas. What if it's a nice shade of red? Like close to pink? That's a nice red flag. Because I feel like it's... Some people have different tolerances or whatever. The things that you can tolerate, right? What's a red flag for you might not be a red flag for me, and so on and so forth. So it depends, really, on how many red flags you can tolerate. Wait, where is the last Christmas? It is Christmas time, guys. I don't know what I'm doing. How do I stream? How do I stream? YouTube. YouTube. It's time to bring out the Christmas hat. Christmas hat. Is it too big? That's fine. Christmas. Last Christmas karaoke. Whether you like it or not, you're gonna sing with me. Listen, all I'm saying is if she hits me, I can say that my brand is too wholesome for that. No, violence is always a big red flag. No, no. No, no, no. No, no, no. No, no, no. No, no, no. Where is that? Where are we there? Go breaking. Single edit. Why is my dog running up the stairs? I hope you guys can hear my YouTube. You guys have to sing. It is requirement. Merry Christmas. Ooh, ooh, whoa. I'm not familiar with this song, but we have to wing it. To sing. Last Christmas, I gave you my heart, but the very next day, you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special. Last Christmas, I gave you my heart, but the very next day, you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special. Thank you for the radio shadow. Wah, 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 wah. Wah, 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 wah. Once bitten and twice shy, I kept my distance, but you still catch my eye. Tell me, baby, do you recognize me? Well, it's been a year, it doesn't surprise me. Wrap it up and send it with a note. I don't know how it goes. And I love you, I meant it, I'm sorry. Now I know what a fool I've been, but if you kiss me now, I know you'd fool me again. Last Christmas, I gave you my heart, but the very next day, you gave it away this year. To save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special. Last Christmas, I gave you my heart, but the very next day, you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special. No one saw anything that isn't the chorus. I know, right? Ooh, baby. You have to be confident. You have to be confident. Ooh, my room, friends with tired eyes. I'm hiding from you, and you're so love eyes. My God, I thought you were someone to rely on. Me, I guess I was a shoulder to cry on. Face on the lover with a fire in his heart. A man undercover where you tore me apart. Ooh, it's all good. You've been spot on. Thank you so much. And last Christmas, I gave you my heart, but the very next day, you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special. Last Christmas, I gave you my heart, but the very next day, you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special. Son of lover, the fire in his heart, a man undercover, but you tore him apart. Maybe next year, I'll give it to someone. I'll give it to someone special. Special someone. Tell me. I know there's a Sailor Moon version of this, or like a Japanese version with the Sailor Moon's actors singing. Voice actors. Speaking of Wham, I saw a documentary on Netflix about Wham, and it focused kinda on George Michael, was it? The one who sang Careless Whisper. It was really good. Last Christmas. That is Sailor Moon. Yippee! Yippee! Thank you for the redeem. First I was afraid. I was petrified. This one, it was really cute. Sailor Moon. The dog inside you, I'm sorry. I cannot contain the dog inside me. It is too strong. The intro is so long. I gave you my heart, but the very next day you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I give it to someone special. Also, the alien in Dandadan was singing Chiquitita, and I was wondering if there was like a Japanese version of Chiquitita. Chiquitita, you mean I know, something like that. Ava, is it this one? No, I don't think it's this one. Lost to Nahi. Thank you for the first time chat. Welcome. I'm just looking for the Japanese version of Chiquitita. Chiquitita, you and I know. Wait. Do you guys hear my dogs fighting? Lost, hello, Lost. Thank you for giving me a nickname that's easier to say. No, it's different. Chiquitita dan. Chiquitita, you menino. Chiquitita singing was so cute. I have 3 dogs inside my house. Anyway, maybe this is a spoiler. Maybe let's not play that. But you know that there's yokai and aliens in Dandadan, right? And one of the aliens is named Chiquitita, and his dad likes to sing the Chiquitita song. Chiquitita, you're manana. How you doing, Lost? I hope you're having a nice day. I apologize if the dogs are too loud. Wait. They're just playing. They're playing. Wait, that's my for some reason they got one of my brother's plushie and they're tearing it to shreds. Should I ruin their fun and take the plushie? Is there anything destroyable in this plushie? No. They're just gonna have their drool all over it. Go force my doglets. Destroy the toy. If that makes you happy. Dog be good by my. Okay, Christmas time is over. Thank you again, Shadow, for redeeming. Thank you. I will try to listen to that song again and do better. Let's go back to Genshin. Chiquitita, yumenai no. Is Genshin back on stream? Yeah. Yeah. This is where I got stuck earlier. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Oh. On. Christmas is over already. Yeah, Christmas was only 5 minutes long. Christmas was only 5 minutes long. And it's not for free. You need to spend 5,000 Celphy points to enjoy the Christmas. No, this is the wrong way as well. Wait, should I go back and get the 4? No, I don't think so, right? Because it's the same. I'm gonna be spending. If I go here, I'm just gonna spend the 4 points to get here. This game. Hello. Thank you for the first time try. Welcome. And it's doing some Genshin, and I am stuck on this puzzle in order to progress the game. Why? I don't know why. If I go here, we can't even eliminate this, right? No, either way you're dead. Should I go? Wait, I will go here. 1, 2, 3. Then I go here. Should we try that? Let's try that. Nah. Return. I will do. Why can I not return? Because that's already the last point. I'm just back here. One, two, three. Like you did before. You can go on the stairs straight. Which stairs? This one? I can't. Why? Why? Is there a reason you're not destroying the statues? I don't have enough points to destroy them. See? Insufficient action points. Bark. I'm sorry, Joppish. The dogs. The dogs are fighting over a toy. And the baby dog is just randomly barking at stuff. I have to solve this. It's probably solvable because it's not giving me an option to restart the thing. Oh good, it's like that at home too, bro. Everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. No, when we got the Maltese last April, was it April or May? May, I think. We wanted a Maltese because we thought they were cute. We didn't know the Maltese was so naughty and so loud. We love her though. But we're not prepared because we have a poodle and a multi-poo. The poodle and the multi-poo, they're so behaved. They're so quiet. This Maltese is a different breed, literally. Poo 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 do. I can't leave. Why is the option only to leave and restart everything? I wanna go back in here and fight this thing. I don't know how. I go back here... One, two, three, four. I'll have nothing. 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 Paano umabot yung balahan dito? I think you're supposed to do something over there, so there's no way back. True. Back here? Yaki, help me! Help me! Like, they do have the green space next to the enemy statue. Do it, Celphy, I can't. My brain. One, two, three. Oh, is it this one? Bruh.
Everyone,
Bruh.
stick to the plan.
I don't want to hurry up, Dainsleeve.
Is this treason?
Antenna.
You know
Thank
what
you.
happens to those who betray the throne. Please, don't do
Komawo. Komawo. Is it thank you or sorry? In
He has
Korean.
betrayed all of Conria.
If
I
you
am
have
not
any
going
love
to
for
know.
justice in your heart, you should join me.
It's showtime. Dane and his group will handle the troops in the palace.
That is not what I meant, but works for me.
My job is to
Wait!
and rescue Vetiful.
No, Yaki, you liar!
Safe.
You did not redeem Bark. Nar. Nar.
Look after my brother. Draw your
There's
blood.
already a lot of barking going on in the background.
Prevail.
Right under my lick. What is under your lick? Asami, thank you for the hard way. Ding 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 ding. Where did you redeem Bark? You did redeem Bark? Did you? You did! You did! Nah. Why couldn't you have redeemed the Christmas song instead? Just kidding. It's your points, you do what you want. It is. Asami, thank you for the hydrate and wait, the stretch as well. Thank you for the guanciana, the fish. Bark. Ow! 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 There you go. Thank you for the bark redeem. You can bark a Christmas song. It's over. It's over. I guess the bark works because it's only a short ow ow. Ow 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 and we're done. Ow ow ow. Ow ow ow. Ow ow. Sorry, it was loud. Sorry. I sound crazy. Why is there more? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where are we supposed to go? If I go here... Fudge this. Fudge this. I need your help again, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait. There's no way there. I hear a naughty Chihuahua. Sounds like a Chihuahua, right? But it's a Maltese. I used to hate Chihuahuas. Maybe I really do. I still do. But when you see a random Chihuahua in public, they're always so... They have attitude and they're always barking. Ow, ow, ow. Oh, was I the Chihuahua? Kaya pa bes hindi na. If we destroy that, we lose points and that's it. It's you. I am the Chihuahua. I am a clown. I am a clown. A Chihuahua and a clown. Thank you for the head pat. 1, 2, 3, 4. And do we get the 3? We get the 3. And then do we go right here? Got 4. If we go here, 1, 2, 3. So we have to go to the 6, I guess. No, right? Yes? No? Okay, I gotta go, Celphy. I should try to sleep early. Yes, you should! It's a bit late for you. Thank you so much for being here, Rat. I miss you. Thank you again. Have good sleep. Have good sleep. Good night. Good night, my beautiful friend. Thank you for being here. I'm gonna continue this. I shall conquer this puzzle. Okay, thank you. Nighty night. Nighty nighty, my kitty rat. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. I get 6. And then I defeat the 2. I will be left with 4 points. And I use that 4 points to what? If I go here, 1, 2, 3. Let's try it anyway. I got 6. I got 6. Then I go here. And I defeat you. And I get the 2. And I use the 2 to get the 4. No! I go here. No, that was wrong. I was wrong. I was so wrong. What is for dinner, Jawfish? I was asking chat earlier, nuggies or bacon? And someone answered, nuggies. What do you think? Nuggies. My nuggies are special because they have cheese, but I also really like bacon. Bacon. Bacon is probably my favorite breakfast food. Bacon and waffle. Waffle.
I guess surprise isn't an emotion that prophets feel very
Veggie? There's no veggie, Mikan. Is there veggie? No, there's no veggie.
Surprised at the king's sheer
There's no veggie. Also,
surprised at just how unfairly
is there veggie? Yeah, there's no veggie. Also, I don't know how to cook veggie. I only know how to fry things.
What did you prophesize this time?
It wasn't a prophecy. It was a word of warning. Someone had to say it. The king has forsaken all reason in pursuit of his obsession.
My mom left me.
I simply told him that if
how many? How much is 500 but 2, 4, 6, 8? 10 bucks. My mom left me 10 bucks if I wanted to order out. Maybe tomorrow.
Dane asked for my help. The court is in complete chaos now, but I'm sure you predicted that.
Everything is transpiring as I foresaw. Yet I am powerless to change it. Fate is an immutable
How about
force.
Tokyo? Tokyo sounds good.
As the inevitable unfolds.
A chicken burger.
I do wonder whether giving a man the power to see the future does nothing more for him than slowly crush his spirit.
Forgive my curtness, Vedafulnir.
Why are the dogs still fighting?
His suspicions have been brewing for a long time. You can't have wisdom beyond the reach of your fellow man without attracting his fear and suspicion.
Dokito Burger. I keep remembering you when I see Dokito Burger in Andox. Dokito, your mom left you Noche Buena money. I saw that. She told me about that. She told me about the 500 pesos Noche Buena. I'm so rich. I have money for a Noche Buena, a feast for 4. But I get to have a feast for 4 for myself. Dokito Burger.
Go a lot of different ways.
Cause I really like the Andox Lechon Baka. But if I buy Lechon Baka, that's already like 400 pesos. 400. That is my Noche Buena. Andox Lechon Baka and nothing else. Doesn't she? Andox Lechon Baka is, yeah, it's so expensive. It was trending before, right? And when we finally bought it, we were so happy. It was available in Grab. But when we ordered it last time, it's so expensive. And the meat isn't worth it. It felt like it was only good for 2 or 1 person if you're like really hungry.
Justice, are you? You're here for yourself. Is that a dagger? Interesting.
Expensive Enzo view, yeah, it's too little for the price. Not worth it anymore, I think. Dokito is probably more value for money. Dokito.
You want to make an enemy of me right now?
Of course not. We're on the same side, aren't we?
We could be. But I need you to be honest with me, Vedafulnir. At this point,
Dokito and Chiquitita. That's the name of my children, Dokito and Chiquitita.
With your beloved, Felindus?
Yes. And I know there are bigger things at stake here. A dynasty, a nation, maybe the entire world. But forgive me, I care first and foremost about myself. I can't abandon the one I love to save myself. I just can't do it. But you see a broader picture of the future than I. You see the solutions to the biggest problems of our age. So tell me, what is my solution? What's the answer?
In matters of fate, answers are either right or wrong. What will be and what will not. Maybe you are willing to pay a certain price in the pursuit of happiness, but unfortunately, fate does not negotiate. That is the cruelest thing about fate. It is unmoved by your sacrifices.
That can't be true. I know it's your voice that I keep hearing in my head, urging me to see how the world is changing, to seek more power, so I can protect the things I love. You show me disaster, but you won't show me how to avoid it? Why? Why are you doing all this?
My voice. In your head. So, you hear it too. The voice that steals your mind, gains your trust, and drives you crazy. It turns out that we are not so different, you and I.
Vedafulnir just broke into the strangest smile I've ever seen in my life, as if he'd discovered some monumental secret. But then he suddenly switched to looking extremely weary.
Very well.
Hearthboy, hello, thank you for the first time chat. Sorry. This is the main story from the previous update. This is the main story from the previous update. So this is not the latest main story. We are looking into the past of Rerir and just like discussing his fate or something with the other sinners. Yeah. Have you done this quest? I'm late. I'm late. Like the newest patch came out yesterday, right? Or was it yesterday or the day before? This is not the latest story. Wait, guys, I took a video of dogs. Let me see if I can show it. You're still in Sumeru! Good luck! You still have a long way to go, but Sumeru is very good. Fontaine is very good. I would say Sumeru and Fontaine are my favorites.
Then, a strange wave of energy rippled through the city. We had no idea what it could mean.
If I were you, I would head to the Universitas Magistrorum.
I'm looking if I can share. If I can share my video of the dogs.
I'm sure we'll be seeing each other again very soon, Rerir.
Whatever Vedifalnir said, I didn't catch it. I didn't even help him out of the prison. There was no time to lose.
Don't trust your eyes uncritically. People only see what they want to, so don't be your own fool.
This is what's happening beneath me. They're fighting or something underneath the table. The small one is Bea. Oh, it's gone. The small one is Bea. Wait, play again. Why is not playing again? The chubby one is Bonita, and the long one is Bambino. That's what's happening. That's what the sound is all. That's where the sound is from. They are arf.
More often than not, if you try to hold them back, you'll be swept away by their unstoppable force. And if you try to ignore
Try once more like you did before. Sing a new song. Wait! Why is the whole gang here?
Out of my way!
They got a hold of the chancla. Yeah, they took the chancla. They have the power over it. My slipper, you guys had to see a bit of my slipper. My slipper, my chancla, they have settled down. Did they become conscious because I took a video of them?
Mechanisms in the palace and around the city. No one knows where they are.
Thank you for the Kanchana. You haven't seen my slipper. Well, is there anything about your slipper that I should be seeing?
That sounded like an explosion. So the rumor is true? The king really
There's accusations that the NPC voices in Where Winds Meet is AI. I really hope not, because I like it. I like the English dub of Where Winds Meet. I like that they're not trying to sound like anime. And I really like my MC's voice, the female MC's voice. Have you tried chatting NPCs? Yeah, I know Chat is AI, but I haven't played around with them. I only asked them for clues in this one particular quest, but I saw people having fun with it. Like they asked the AI, "Do you know Kanye West?" and stuff like that. Wait, where we go? Defeat the monsters. Can we jump over there? Over there. We can.
Can't hide the truth. Time to say hello. Close your eyes. No more lies. Not too far now.
Can't handle your drink.
The night cometh. Observe. Be silent.
Flash attack!
The deception ends here. It all adds up.
Here's more.
Shaken and stirred.
Can't hide the truth. Farewell. Go. You're free now. Observe.
Wait. We're dying. We're dying. I hate these enemies. Genshin characters got nothing on me. I could do all that stuff too, and you can do it even better. You can do it even better. I believe in you. Why are you still awake, bestie? Why?
It all adds up. Not too far now. Time to say hello. Be silent. The long sleep.
Slay, bestie, slay. Where's the last person? Last enemy? Where? Oh, there you are. Diona special.
The mystery unravels.
Don't question me. You're always retaliating when I ask or tell you to sleep.
Close your eyes.
What if I wanna hang out with my bestie? No, I love it. I love that you're here. I love that you're here. Well, we were talking about time earlier. They said it was 5 o'clock. They had to sleep because it was 5 a.m. on their end, and you said it was 5 a.m. on your end as well. It's okay. What are you doing? What are you doing though? Why are you so up? Are you playing more Uma Musume? Uma Musume! Thank you for the hydration though. Arigato.
Monsters.
What time is it?
Magistrorum? Why now?
Stretch! And thank you for the headband.
It's no use. The
I think we're gonna end stream in 30 minutes maybe. Cause I'm getting hungry.
Of course.
My nuggies. I don't have rice yet. I have to make rice as well.
I'm done for. Is anyone there? I need help!
I need help! Help!
Stay back! Please stay back! Please!
She looks suspicious. Chicken Tindies! Not to get personal into it, chat, but it's been tough to sleep with recent events I told you about. It's fine, totally fine.
About your work are true.
I know what you've been going through. It is hard. I told you, you gotta distract yourself. Probably working because you've been playing stuff. Chicken Tindies!
why you're worried. And I will
Bestie, I told you. I think chat knows about this as well. I take medicine to sleep because I have insomnia. I wish I could give one to you, or maybe just like half a tablet because it's like really strong. I would give you my sleeping medicine. It could really help. My mom takes it sometimes as well. If it's like the weekend and she wants to have a long sleep. I am watching my only real bestie clearly. That's me. The one. The only. Draco's bestie.
I told you, Rarier. Let her go. You will find someone better.
No, I won't do it. I have to save her.
She's trying to drug me, Chad. She's gonna rob me of my food and money. I can do that without drugging you. Come on. Come, take drugs with me. Come, take care of my dogs for me. Come, fry my nuggets for me. Do you know how to make rice? I'll teach you how to make rice. Don't tell Sophia I said that she might come knocking. I fear that Sophia has violent tendencies. But it's fine.
You made it.
Not you too.
The dogs have come down. They are no longer interested in the plushie. No, she's just very protective of me specifically. As she should. That's what a good friend does.
Rarier. Rarier.
Lindis.
Were you daydreaming?
This is me at my most evil. Do your evil laugh.
That underscore Indigo 9129 just followed.
Indigo, hello. Thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate you and welcome. Welcome. Thank you for the follow. She gets jealous if I am near other girls. Are you sure she sees she's just a friend? I don't want to assume.
It's your choice.
Yeah, maybe she's just being protective. Cause you know. Lindis! We have been having convos for the past year, bestie. I know. I gotta log in for this cutscene. This is the moment. This is the villain. What do you call it? Where the villain starts to become a villain. Villain origin story.
Find you. Do your evil laugh.
Marie underscore Artix01 just followed.
Hi there. Hi Marie Artix. Marie, hello. Thank you for the first time chat and welcome. You're the follower. Yeah, thank you for the follow. How you doing? I'm just doing some Genshin. The main story. I keep saying that the Rear's backstory. If you play Genshin. How are you doing today? I'm doing good. Doing great.
All the same.
How are you
Other
doing?
people's thoughts for too long can get uncomfortable.
We've been viewing Rear's past for 3 hours now, never.
In a nutshell, the story of Conria is what happens when the truth falls by the wayside. Everyone tells little white lies.
And good boy, I'm doing great.
You have a huge pack
I'm
of
doing
lies
great.
to
I'm
destroy
really kinda hungry. But I wanna do more of the story.
His past is filled with
Cause I've been addicted to this other game and I don't know when I will actually make time to finish this story.
It may be. That was Conria's fate.
Your live stream is very cool. Cheating on Genshin, I know. When I logged into Genshin, it had a sign that says a welcome login screen that says welcome back cheater, welcome home cheater.
Can I get a standing
Look at
ovation?
her. She's so beautiful. Bestie, will you ever try where winds meet, or is that something you're not interested in? Because it really said welcome home cheater, and it threw all my items on the ground. They threw all my items on the ground, my resin, my fruits, my meat. I have no idea what it is. By the way, where are you from? I am from the Philippines. Wow. I'm from the Philippines. If my accent doesn't give me away, I am from the Philippines. It's a no. It's not a no. Oh, it's not a no. I see. It's a free game.
Sounds to me like
that's kind of like action RPG, where you have an option to play it MMORPG style. You can go up with other players. It has an online mode, and it's focused on ancient China martial arts, wuxia style. It's free to play, and it has gacha, but the gacha is for cosmetics only. And there's no characters that you can play other than yourself, I think. Yeah. It's you're the MC.
You stuck to the rules of the ceremony.
Yeah, it was a bit controversial because IGN gave it a rating of 6. And the people were mad because how can you give this beautifully? It is. I mean, subjectively, personally, I think it's a beautiful game.
But let's meet up with the others first. It will save me narrating it twice.
Yeah, IGN sucks on parrying then, yeah. Cause apparently IGN also rated Wukong, was it? Wukong, the Wukong game, very low as well. Although a lot of people really liked it. I need to play FF14 as far as MMOs go. You should. You should. I love it. If I had money, I would still be playing that. You have a job or study? I don't have a job. I study, yes. Yes. Short answer is yes. Why? Why do you ask?
You don't seriously think I'm
crazy? I have a suspicion as well, Mikan. Seri did not catch it. Seri bot did not catch it. We shall see if they ask more questions. I don't have money to commission.
There's nothing I dislike.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it. Like the name. It's in the name and the line of questions, you know? Should we play along?
Oh no.
Lamau.
Sorry to disturb you, but we seem to have run into some trouble.
Is it just me, or did they make improvements on the graphics? It feels like the graphics kinda improved. I don't know, or maybe it's just been a long time since I played Genshin on PC.
I'm sorry. What did you hear me say? I wasn't talking about labor policy.
How many years have you been streaming? I've been streaming since 2022.
How long have I been standing?
It's refiddy. Exactly.
You just
67 months. 67 years. Twitch has been around for 67 years.
What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost.
We've been tricked.
Oh,
we never left
nice.
at all.
I know, right?
Somehow I hallucinated that.
I've been streaming even before there was Justin TV.
But how?
I was streaming IRL. That's where I got my streaming experience.
This place should heed my will alone. All thoughts and actions that occur in here are just a result of pawns moving across the chessboard in a carefully calculated manner. And nobody has access
67 years? That I didn't know you were in your jail years. Lore-wise, I am 2000 years old, so 67 isn't that long ago. Seems like yesterday when I first started streaming, actually. In the grand scheme of things, how long my life has been, 67 years isn't that long
between
ago.
what happened then and
Do you
what's
consider
happening now?
67 a gilf?
I suppose.
I know some gilfs in your area.
Which was also the case.
Would you
the
like
first
me?
time.
Not just kidding. My tummy's starting to hurt.
I can do to help?
Yahoda, I got Yahoda as well, guys. I got like 2 constellations of Yahoda while trying to pull for Durin. And it's so annoying because it kept giving me Bennett. Everybody who's been playing Genshin for years now has a C5 Bennett that they don't want a C6 because apparently it bricks your account. 2,000 years old and you're still not rich. Are you money shaming me? How old are you? I'm 2,000 years old, Marie.
What?
2,000 years old young. 2,000 years young.
Where would I ever find another employee as obedient?
I might have been friends
servile
with your
as you?
ancestors.
God forbid anything
I
ever
mean,
happens to
I might have been there during the birth of civilization. I am shaming you beyond that. I am a self-confessed jobless person.
Somewhere. I suggest everyone finds someplace comfortable to take a rest. We gotta conserve our energy. Even though all this chess malarkey doesn't exist in a physical sense, mentally speaking, it's all real. And
She's so cute, isn't she so cute? We have the same thingy here, I think. On my OG design. Yahoda. Yahoda.
Anyway,
stop barking! Stop barking!
Have the best employees.
You like anime or character? I do like anime. I am an anime character. As you can see on your screen, I'm playing an anime style game and I have an anime avatar. I love character too. Who doesn't love character? Do you like fictional characters, non-fictional characters, supernatural characters?
To the depths of
My
your
favorite
imagination.
character. I don't wanna go there. Do you guys know Zentreya? Zentreya, the VTuber. She's kind of controversial right now because of her outfit.
That means stay focused.
Kinda does look like what they are accusing her, but I don't think it's that bad. Please don't cancel me. I don't think it's that bad. It looks cool, to be honest. Like anime or character. You like anime or character as well? Who's your favorite character, Marie? Who is your favorite character? It doesn't have to be anime. Can be anime if you want to. I think it's not as deep as people are making it out to be. Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm a demon. Should I? I mean, I'm not popular, but if I were... Iron Mouse is a demon. Should she be cancelled for representing a canonically evil being? I say it's canonically because it's in the Bible, and some people say the Bible is the truth. You know that, you know. If Zentreya just shut up, I won't get that controversy. Did she double down? Because I've never seen any clip where she responds to it. Just people fighting. People hating the outfit and people defending the outfit. I saw one tweet of her where she was like, I give up, I don't want to do this anymore. I mean, it's a little more to it than that.
I know I saw some more.
Did I?
What do you mean loose change? Oh, come on, I'm too
Is it
old
like
for
the
this.
bow situation? Where people get mad because you just wouldn't, like, you know, recognize or apologize or something like that. Bruh, I can never be popular. I wouldn't know how to respond to things like that. I haven't really been paying attention, but neither sides are backing down from what I saw, yeah. I guess it can be problematic if the inspiration is that, but I don't think Zentreya herself is like actively promoting or propagating the philosophies, idealisms of...
I'm trying to get in his good books and I need a way in.
that time in history that she's being accused of.
Why?
My favorite character is Naruto. How unique! How unique! Do you like Sasuke as well? I like Sasuke. I like edgelords. I like emo edgelords, dark-ish people. Your favorite character name? My favorite character is myself. My favorite character is myself.
There's plenty of time and I'm not going anywhere.
Gotta love yourself first before you love other characters. I think people are way too comfortable calling people names like that. The N-word. The N-word. It's a big nothing burger, yeah. I just realized it. Matarakan. You know Matarakan, right? The one from the cockroach girl from V Shoujo. She apparently had a similar outfit and she didn't get flayed for that. Not that N-word. The N-word that ends with an I. It's so stupid. It kinda is. People get mad over the things that they should not be getting mad about. I feel like in Twitter a lot. And they really make it a big deal. Sometimes I get invested because I want to see some good roasting when, you know, they roast each other. Regardless of which side you're on. Do you have social accounts? Actually, no. I only have Twitch. I don't have social media. Don't have social media or any chat apps, unfortunately.
Hi, Dad. Uncle Retinue said you were looking for me.
Ah, there's my little princess. If you'd gotten back just a little sooner, you could have shared the spoils of war with me.
Spoils of war? Who were you?
Oh, we're now doing Nefer's backstory.
It was just a figure of
This isn't even her quiz. This is just I'm just re-streaming an old stream. Do not believe this is not live. This is not live. I saw something creepy like that. You know, when you're watching something on TV and you think of something and the video responds back to you. That's really creepy. There was this show. There was a show on Apple TV I wanted to watch, but then my free subscription expired. But the actress there is Saul Goodman's girlfriend. Saul Goodman. It was really interesting. Like, I can't describe it. It was kinda science fiction. But the president was talking to her on the television.
If it wasn't for the endless wars over the years. But things are looking up. I started working with some folks from the academia a few months back. They gave me some contacts.
It's a really good show. It's made by the same guy who made Breaking Bad. Really? Pluribus? I think it's the name of it. Pluribus. Yeah, Pluribus.
It's nothing bad.
Pluribus.
We've been isolated here in the desert for too long. Seeking opportunities elsewhere is the best thing for us, and the fastest way to progress.
Connection
So,
to Breaking Bad.
Do you get anything
Vince
good out of being a
Gilligan.
special ambassador?
Of course. My luck's improving
Yeah,
all the time.
so they're not from the same universe, but they have the same creator. That's really cool. I watched episode 1 and 2, I think, or only 1. When I was supposed to go to episode 2. My Apple TV, my free Apple, you get 3 months, right? My free Apple TV expired. He wants to move on from the Breaking Bad universe. Yeah, it's already an icon and a legend on its own. I think this is where we stop. Because I'm hungry and this is already like a different story. We've already moved on from Riri's backstory. Now we're exploring Nefer's backstory. Let me just show you guys my Doreen. Can I show my Doreen? My dragon boy. Dragon boy. Dragon, these boys. I can't find the dragon. Can I sort it by element? Pyro. There he is. Doreen! I just got him yesterday. I won a 50-50 and I'm really happy I have him. Cause there you go, Twitch itself has flagged Marie as a bot. I'm sorry, Marie, but you gotta go. It was nice chatting with you. Good luck with your botting endeavors. Where is the ban? Got banned. Get banned, Baka. Baka? I wonder how my family is doing in Japan. My brother is a weeb, like a bigger weeb than I am. Well, we're probably the same level of weeb. It's just that I don't show my weebiness outside. He was practicing some Japanese words and phrases. Yeah, bye, Marie. My brother was practicing Japanese words and phrases before they left. I was like, you're not really gonna use those words, right? Because when you start saying Japanese things to them, they're gonna reply in whole Japanese sentences and you're not gonna be able to keep up. Anyway, but they seem to be surviving just fine. They went to Shibuya. Well, yeah. Today was a doozy, a woozy, a doozy. We were able to play halfway through the story, I think. It wasn't as long as I thought it would be. Rare story was interesting. We did the chess thing. Thank you, chat, for helping me. Hello, everyone. Jorka. Hello, Jorka. How you doing? I'm sorry, we are just about to end. We got some raids today, some subs, some resubs, and bets. Thank you so much. Bestie, please go to sleep. Thank you for chatting with me. We got as well. Everyone who's been there through this stream. There was some we got some followers as well. Yay. For some reason we got new followers. I don't know why, but thank you. I'm still in Arcane Quest Act 5. You just ended your stream. I hope you had a good stream. Make me. I'm gonna Uber my sleeping medication to you. Extra strength. Extra strength. I'm gonna make some nuggies in the air fryer. Cause you know me. Air fryer girl. And make some rice. Well, I'll do the rice first, and then when the rice is about to cook, I'm gonna air fry the nuggies so that they're both fresh and hot. Yummy. Have good rest of the day and night, afternoon. Mikan, I hope you already had your dinner. Keiko, bestie, I hope you can rest. Yeah, we can do the horse water, but you can't make it drink. Not if I push the horse. Not if I drown the horse in the water, you know? Just to, give it a wake-up call and help it realize that it needs to get some rest. That got dark. Yeah, it got dark. I'm sorry. Alice's design is 10 over 10. Yes. I know someone who was really looking forward to Alice, like from the beginning. It's so cute. I really want to see like in game. Actually, I want to see Alice with Klee. They'd be so cute. Alice and Klee. Extreme way to make me sleep. Yeah, just some gentle waterboarding, just some gentle waterboarding. Bruh, I suddenly remember like one of my favorite YouTubers were talking about the old military ways of torturing people is crazy. Like the water drop on your forehead for a long time is gonna drive you crazy. Depriving you of sleep, that was insane. I think they stopped that already. And 5-year time to cook Alice design, and they perfectly nailed it. I know. It's one of the best designs so far. Very what do you call it? Subverted expectations. People were saying it's just gonna be a photocopy of Klee, but nah. She looks like Klee, but still Alice. A fresh design. I really like her hat. I like her design, yeah. You're too short to reach. No. Well, yeah, it is where we end stream. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. I really appreciate you for chatting with me, keeping me company, being patient with me. Thank you, Shadow, if you're still there, for redeeming the Christmas song. And yeah, I'm gonna go eat make din after this, and I will see you guys around. Wait, Mavuika is almost a copy of Himiko from Honkai, but Alice doesn't look like any Honkai character as well. I have nothing against Honkai Impact, but I really hope all Genshin characters are unique on their own. If they are nods to old characters, that's fine, but I'm not a huge fan of the XPs. I'm a huge fan of it because it does nothing for me nostalgia-wise. I'll see you guys around, maybe next stream or in social media or in games. Thank you again for being here and have a wonderful rest of your day. I'm signing off, ending stream. Good night, goodbye. Love you all so much. Goodbye. Where's my mute?